The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing.
Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to one of the most historic racetracks in the U.S. as LSRTV presents B&C Lawn and Landscaping 250 at Darlington Raceway. We want to welcome you to the United Sim Racing's B&C Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series as we go truck racing throwback style here at Darlington. My name is Jacob Bell. With me is Michael Guerrilla and Cisco Scaramuza, two of the toughest names in the business. Also here helping me with the pictures and the sounds. Michael, I'm looking forward to tonight, and it should be an exciting race. What are your thoughts heading into it?
Yeah, Darlington's always been one of those racetracks, especially is one of my favorite racetracks, so it's always a great racetrack to come to. It's always going to produce side-by-side racing, and everyone's going to always be able to go side-by-side through the corners, especially on the high sides of each corner. You really want to be up there and make the momentum on the high side, so being able to pinch someone at that bottom is really key, but these exits are really tight, so it'll be interesting to see how these drivers take on the challenge of Darlington tonight. Yeah,
and I agree with you on that. Looking at practice tonight, it looks like this track's not the easiest one to tame, and I don't think that goes without saying. So I think it's going to be exciting. Also want to touch on our points going into tonight. Remember, the top 12 are going to make it into the playoffs here. You see a lot of action starting to tighten it up right around Tim Matthews, Matt Mara, Robert Gillenwater, and Chris Gibu are all right around that cutoff line, and we are 2 races away from starting these playoffs, so gonna have to keep an eye on that, but it should be quite the race tonight here at Darlington.
Yeah, we'll definitely be watching that tonight as we'll look to see Tim Matthews, Matt Maher, Robert Gillenwater, Chris Cabot, Greg Maw, right around the 12th to 15th spot, fighting for that last spot, right around last 2 spots. I'm sorry, as their cutoff race for the playoffs is next week after Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and that'll set the field for the 12 drivers that'll fight for the championship for this year's B&C Landscaping Championship.
Yeah, and I think another thing, taking a look at the points, it's interesting to note is Christian Peterson has 7 wins, so you would assume he'd comfortably be in the playoffs without an issue, but really, he's only about 10 points ahead of those guys fighting for the cutoff spot, so he's going to need a good race and a good next 2 races if he wants to ensure his playoff spot. So keep an eye on him and all these guys around the bubble, and take a look at the throwback paint schemes tonight as well, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think we're looking forward to it, and I'm excited to get it rolling.
Yeah, as you mentioned, tonight's throwback night here at the Darlington Speedway. I've been looking through all these paint schemes I've been seeing. I've seen the Sterling Martin throwback, Mark Martin Xfinity throwback, a lot of Dale Earnhardt and Kevin Harvick throwback. So nice to see all these trucks giving tribute to our past and present drivers of the Cup Series and now NASCAR in general. So it'd be interesting to see all these paint schemes. I have to look for a favorite one. I haven't looked and found one yet, but I'll definitely let you know by the end of the night.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye out for my favorite one so far too. I see a Kodiak paint scheme that looks real nice. Also the Goodwrench classic Kodak paint scheme. So a bunch of them are really lighting up the track, and it's going to be exciting. I'm keeping an eye on that Kodak paint scheme. Also running the number 4, so very fitting, and throwback to the Mike Skinner and all those guys way back when. And it's gonna be fun to watch these guys going around track in these colors. And long race tonight certainly won't be a quick one. We got, I think, 184 laps scheduled. So Darlington's really going to be too tough to tame tonight, but we're also going to see a lot of the endurance these drivers have.
That is very true. Darlington is very tough on tires and tough on these drivers, as well as it's really easy to overcook these tires, especially cut off the corners as the corners sweep onto the straightaways as the qualifying just actually wraps up right now as we're going to head on down to the grid. But yeah, as I was saying, these corners really sweep the rear tires off the ground and really makes the rear tires hot and loose. So it'll be interesting to see how people are loose off the exit and gonna maybe self-spin almost down to the apron.
Yeah, we saw them slipping and sliding around in practice, and like you said, these tires are really going to play key tonight. So I think it's going to come down who can manage the tires the best out of the 26 plus drivers we got in the field, and going to have to watch and see who has the talent to hold on to the tires and hold on to their truck. More importantly, as we take a look at the starting grid for tonight, Bob Gillenwater, one of our guys on that playoff and bubble right around the 12th spot. He's starting on pole. Right outside of him is Tommy Ryan in second.
And actually, we actually gonna have Seth the Merchant starting on pole, qualified at 28.8 for your pole tonight. Tommy Ryan's gonna be second. Jamie Walker is gonna be third. Justin Michael fourth. Scott Simley is gonna be starting fifth. Greg Mall, one of your bubble watchers tonight, is gonna be in sixth. Matt Mara seventh. Randy Tesser eighth. James Nunn ninth, and Justin Cleaver is gonna round out your top 10.
Yeah, then going on in our starting grid, as I messed up the first one, that was my fault there. You got Shane Hother starting 11th, Lewis Robinette starting 12th for the race tonight here at Darlington.
I got Christian Peterson in 13th, Tim Matthews 14th, and Aaron Bennett is going to be 15th.
th is going to be John Jenkins, 17th Michael Atkins Jr. Starting 18th is going to be Ralph Forsett, 19th Michael Priester, and then 20th Rich Jett.
And then in the 21st spot, another one of our bubble watchers tonight, Bob Gillenwater in 21st. The 9 machine starting 22nd, Michael Warren. Jeff Ryan in 23rd, and number 10 machine, Chris Cabot 24th. John Wilco 25th, Steve Heron 26th, and Scott Formosa 27th as we get rolling off on the grid. Only your top 12 drivers took a time tonight, so everyone from 13th on back is going to be taking their time trying to get to the field tonight, all the way back through to 27th.
Yeah, so I noticed that too with the times. Only top 12 taking times. Do you think? What do you think the reason behind that would be, Michael?
Well, I'm thinking maybe these guys want to wait out the first little bit, get situated first, then start making the moves. Like we've said, it's 184 laps tonight, so be interested to see how aggressive these guys are on the start. Maybe this one to sit around, get single filed out, just run around, get these laps done, and then once we get towards the end of the race, start being aggressive, make their moves up towards the front.
Yeah, and 184 laps totally gives them enough time to do that, so they will be able to sit around and let this race play out for the first couple of laps before they really start getting down to business, which I think that won't even be till probably once we got 150 laps in the book. Then it's time to get going and making your charge to the front. So a lot of racing left tonight as you see the pace car pull off, and we are getting set to go underway.
Yeah, and Seth the Merchant's going to lead him down to the green coming off turn 4 in the high banks of Daytona for 184 laps, and the American ethanol green flag is in the air, and Seth the Merchant's going to get a good restart right here, just get alongside of Tommy Ryan. Tommy Ryan's going to look to see on the outside of Seth the Merchant going into 1, looks as though Seth's going to use that apron, clip that the little kick there on the bottom of turn 1 and 2, and pull away off of turn 2.
Yeah, the Merchant gets a really nice launch there on the bottom. He's going to be able to take over the top spot. Behind him, Tommy Ryan falls in line in second. Third, Jamie Walker. Fourth, Justin Michael. And rounding out your top 5 as of right now is Scott Simley in that number 68 truck.
Yeah, this is the top 5 have single filed out so far. It looks as though the 88 of Jamie Walker is looking at the back of Tommy Ryan. I don't think he'll make a move unless Tommy's going to make a mistake. But outside of that, we're all single filed out until you look back till about, I believe James Nunn is looking on the inside of the 69 machine of Randy Tesser, and he just didn't get a good run off of turn 2. So they're still going to be single filed out. So like I mentioned, we're going to be single filed out here for a little bit, maybe get some of his laps in and see if maybe people can start making moves.
Yeah, as we say that, looks like that number 69 machine, James Nunn does get, the 75 machine of James Nunn is able to make a pass on Randy Tesser there in the 69 truck. So move James Nunn up a spot now as they follow in line, single file down the back straightaway. Second place looks like it's starting to tighten up between Jamie Walker and then the number, I believe that's the number 5 truck of Tommy Ryan. But up front, it's all Seth DeMerchant as he leads lap number 3 here at Darlington.
As you mentioned, Seth is starting to pull out a little gap right here. He's up to almost 4/10 right now as we work lap 4. Looks as though DeMerchant's really trying to work that line through turn 1 and 2, kind of like almost a diamond line. The way you have to run through turn 1 is you really want to go down to that kink that's on the bottom near the apron where the asphalt meets the apron. So you want to hit that, slide up to the top, not sure, hit the wall, and cut down to the bottom on the exit and get a good run off turn 2. That's for 1 and 2 as we complete start lap 5 right here. But in 3 and 4, you usually just want to rim ride and stay as close as you can to that wall and cut down on the exit and make a good run off turn 4.
Yeah, and I'm keeping an eye out on the outside wall, seeing if we have any Darlington stripes yet. I don't think we do, but definitely going to watch for that as the rest of the night goes on. And we also got a top 3 truck battle starting to tighten up. Tommy Ryan right there in the middle of it as the 88 truck now is able to pull onto his back bumper. That's Jamie Walker, and almost pushing them as they head down into turn number 1 here on lap 6. Second and third still going after each other hard, but up front it's still the 57 truck. And then you look back in 4th place, Justin Michael, in 5th place, Scott Simley. That's your top 5 as we are just getting underway here at Darlington.
And it's just, also we want to point out they're really strung out outside this top 5. We have a second and a half between Seth DeMerchant all the way back to Scott Simley in 6th, and there's pretty even intervals between those 5 drivers except for Tommy Ryan, as we got a slow car on the apron, I believe. That is the 9 machine of Michael Warren. He's down on the apron. I have to see what happened to him there. I believe he'd actually just pulled off the track off turn 4, and he just went to the apron to let the leaders go by. Good move by him right there, but he's going to fall back, be first car 1 lap down, maybe get a caution and get back on the lead lap. But yeah, as I was saying, there's a lot of huge gaps up in the top 5, except for up front, where now you see the 88 of Jamie Walker is still on the back bumper of Tommy Ryan. He's going to look to the inside for a second to get back in line and push him. It's really not ideal to pass into turn 1, but if you can get it done, you can really slow yourself up. And Seth DeMerchant's just loving this behind him as they're looking to close in on him.
Yeah, and I don't think it's any shock that a lot of these people on track that Seth DeMerchant is as fast as he is, because he was the fastest truck in practice, fastest truck when they went to qualify, and now here he is out front leading the way at Darlington. But second and third place haven't really let him get too strung out like I thought he would. I thought DeMerchant would start pulling away to a second lead and then just keep increasing on that, but we're almost 10 laps in, and Tommy Ryan in that 6 truck and Jamie Walker in that 88 haven't let him get too far out in front, and they have been all over each other too. So I figured once they got battling, it was going to help DeMerchant just start stretching his lead out further and further, but has not been the case as they enter turn 3 and 4. DeMerchant running a little bit closer to the wall than everybody else, and you see Walker down low, almost to the white dotted line on the bottom through 3 and 4, but as they cross the stripe, lap number 10 on the board, and we're still single file up front.
And you mentioned Jamie Walker went down to the apron there in 3 and 4 and hooked that white line. If you can get it down there and get it hooked up right, and you can put those left side tires down on that white line, you can really get a nice run going through the exit of the corner, as it really keeps a lot of the momentum up, just like the high side does, but to a lesser degree. And it also saves those tires down there, as the high side is really getting worn in right now. So that high side is going to get really hot and really tight as the rubber builds up and the heat builds up in that line. So maybe he's just trying to feel out that bottom line, see if the high side's getting a little too warm right now, and trying to feel out what line's best for him right now to save his tires.
Yeah, and one of the drivers I wanted to keep an eye on tonight was Christian Peterson in that number 23 truck. He has won 7 races coming into tonight and was running outside the top 10, but now he's starting to move his way up towards the front, just able to get around Randy Tesser in the 69 last lap. So move Peterson now into 9th, and I don't think he's going to stop there. He seems like he's been able to catch every truck that's been put in front of him so far, and he's continuing to climb forward. But up front, it's still single file, and you see the Greg Mall machine. He's battling with the number 22 there, Matt Mara. That's the battle just outside the top 5 now as Greg Mall goes down low of Matt Mara down at the turn number 3. Looks like the 12 machine's going to have the advantage as we got a caution on the track.
Yeah, looking to pick up a number, see where that caution is. I believe the 10 of Jeff Ryan is going to be the caution right here, as we're going to pull up a replay here. And it looks as though he went to turn 1 side by side with the 30 machine of, that is, I'm going to get a number for you, Luis Robinette going into turn 1. And it looks as though Jeff Ryan just almost door slammed him, and once they hit each other, they got in the wall and got hooked together, and that caused Jeff Ryan to get turned around.
Yeah, obviously not ideal there for Ryan in that number 10 machine, but he does bring out our first caution of the day. You see that number 10 machine sliding through turn numbers 3 and 4 there before settling back down below the apron. But tough break so far for Ryan, but I think that truck might be all right as they can get it repaired on pit road and he'll get back out there. But we got pit stops to take care of first.
Yeah, the whole field's coming down. Tires will be really key here tonight as they're coming down to pace speed, pit road speed of 45 miles an hour. Don't want to get caught speeding here. It's a long way back to the front for this 26-car field tonight. Looks as though they're all going to come down. I expect everyone to take 4 tires. Maybe some people in the back are going to take 2 as the merchant is going to lead them down the pit lane. I fully expect 4 tires as tires are really going to be king. So it'll be interested to see how these stops are.
Yeah, pretty much everybody seems like they stopped in their box pretty smoothly. As you see, Justin Kleebler and that number 08, he's already out of pit road, so I'm not sure if he missed his pit box there or is just now getting out onto the racetrack. But it looks like the Merchant's going to go ahead and win that race off in the 57 truck. Tight race for second between Tommy Ryan and Jamie Walker. Looks like Tommy Ryan's going to get it. Scott Sibley comes out fourth. Greg Mall fifth. That's your top 5 as they exited pit road here on lap number 14.
Yeah, we had a 3-wide moment back there for the 6th, 7th, and 8th spot. Justin Michael, Matt Mara, and James Nunn coming off pit road. Pit road is actually really, really tight. You don't expect that for the exit of pit road for Darlington, as it's a very, very wide track, as you can see. But just like the racing surface is, the pit lane exit is really tight as that wall juts back into the infield. I also wanted to point out that I believe Justin Kleber did miss his pit box on his way down because he did roll down. Looks like he's going to go up front and lead a lap real quick, and he might come down before the restart happens, but he might not. Be interested to see if he will.
Yeah, I saw him just rolling on by pit road. I wasn't sure if maybe he was just now getting out onto the racetrack, wanted to start the race late, or what the idea was there. But nice to know that he actually missed his pit box, so he's right now staying out, which you mentioned, which is an interesting point. A lot of times, if there's a mistake on pit road like that, they're coming in the next lap. But Justin Kleber is still out on the racetrack, and I'm assuming they have 2 laps to go until they get the green flag. So Kleber might be just staying out and taking the restart in the first position, but like you mentioned earlier, with the tires being such a big factor, I don't know if that will be the case. I mean, already 14, 15 laps on their tires by the time they get set to restart. That's going to be a pretty big impact on the Goodyear rubbers. So I don't know. We're going to have to take a look and see what Kleber decides to do. And then that'll also affect all the guys behind him, like the Merchant, as it looks like the 08's coming down to pit road this time.
Yeah, Kleber does come down, and he's going to get those fresh Goodyear tires on the 08 Hot Wheels machine, the Kyle Petty throwback right there. But yeah, the smart move by Kleber. It's really early to be trying to stay out. Like you said, I think he just missed his box, or he was just trying to lead that lap. I can't quite tell. But yeah, smart move by Kleber. It's early in this race. We're still only just crossing over 15 laps, starting lap 16 right here. This 184 lap event, as we're going to get doubled up here for the restart, going through 1 and 2.
Yeah, taking a look at our restart order, you got Seth the Merchant. He's going to restart first. Tommy Ryan right outside of him. Jamie Walker, Craig Mall, and then Scott Simley. That's going to be your top 5 as we get set to go green. Matt Mara, Justin Michael, James Nunn, Christian Peterson 9th, and then Randy Tesser in 10th as we get set to restart on lap number 16.
Yeah, one thing I'll be interested to see, we know these guys just took fresh tires, but look, as we get stacked up right here, maybe Jamie Walker could take advantage of it with these fresh tires and get past Tommy Ryan. We saw he was all over the back bumper of Tommy on that last run right there, so it'll be interesting to see if Jamie can make something happen on that bottom, maybe get a good restart behind Seth as he's on the inside of the restart.
Yeah, and we got a lot of racing left to go. 168 laps when they hit the stripe. Pace car pulls in. That leaves the field in the hands of Seth the Merchant and Tommy Ryan right outside of him as they're holding on to the green flag, exiting turn number 4 right now. There it goes. Green flag in the air. We are back underway here at Darlington. Another great restart by Seth the Merchant. This time he's able to pull out to nearly about 5 truck lengths as they head down to the turn number 1.
Yeah, a fantastic start by the Merchant. He's really, really good at these restarts, as we've seen throughout this entire season. It's really been that whole team of the Merchant, Menger, and Peterson has been really strong on these restarts as we all get single file. I believe the 10 car on the bottom, Jeff Ryan, he's actually going to come down to pit road. I didn't know what was going on there. But we're all going to single file out once again. I believe Jamie Walker is actually stuck behind Tommy Ryan once again. So let's see if maybe he can pressure Tommy once again on this run. But like I said, we're all single filed out for right now as we head back down the backstretch.
Yeah, we saw some troubles there for Jeff Ryan in the 10 truck. Not entirely sure if he was just trying to get onto pit road or if he was just sliding down into 3 and 4. But we're going to stay green regardless, and that leaves Jamie Walker right there in third behind Tommy Ryan. This top 3, top 4 haven't changed at all tonight so far, so we're going to have to see who's able to make something happen. But that 88 truck does start to look pretty sporty, as the 68 is Scott Sibley you see there on your screen. He's been inside the top 5 for most of the night, so that good wrench white throwback truck and that number 22 right behind him and Matt Mara rounds out your top 5.
Yeah, Matt's having a pretty good night tonight, as well as Scott Simley, as you mentioned. One thing I wanted to point out with Jamie Walker and Tommy Ryan, one thing I'm noticing is Jamie's line is just a slight bit different than Tommy's is. As we go up into turn 1, you see Jamie's really keeping that truck near the middle of the track. As you see, Tommy is going to go slightly higher and right up towards that wall. Tommy's going to get a better run, but Jamie has that, off the corner, but Jamie's going to really have that corner speed. And then head down into 3. Jamie's going to caution speedway. I'm trying to get a number on that. Believe that was the 08 of Kleber, actually. Yeah, it's the 08 of Kleber going into turn 1. Him and the 9 machine of Michael Warren tangled.
Well, yeah, that does actually make sense to me, considering that he was just so far back in the pack because he had to hit a lot later than these guys. As we take a look and see what happened here with the 08 of Kleber. Looks like they were getting down into turn number 1, that is, I believe. And Kleber slides up the racetrack. Then, like you said, it hits that number 9 of Michael Warren. And I think they just go sliding. Luckily, I don't think they get too much other damage besides just a little slide through turns 1 and 2. And looks like that's just going to bring out our second caution of the day here at Darlington.
Yeah, that's just a simple error of Michael Warren was trying to let I believe that was the 30 machine by on the inside. Yeah, I'm sorry, it was the 3 machine of Aaron Bennett. He was trying to let him go on the inside, but Kleber got a really good run through that corner. He just misjudged Michael Warren slowing up and just tapped him, and they went around. But this is, though, like you said, they didn't really hit anything, so they're going to come down and get 4 fresh tires on the car and be able to get back out on track.
Yeah, I was taking a look at the chat really quick on the stream, and a couple people asked me what happened to Good Wrench in NASCAR. That's a very good question. I actually, honestly, am not the one to answer that. But so we do come down on pit road. The Merchant's in, Tommy Ryan's in, Jamie Walker, pretty much all of our front runners down on the pit road.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Actually, some of these drivers have come down to take 4 tires. We have only been out there for 2 or 3 laps, but once again, tire wear, like we said, is very, very key. As Seth DeMarch's first one on pit road, I believe he took 2 tires. And Christian Peterson's going to gain a lot of spots. Came in 9th, and he's going to come off 2nd with Tommy Ryan behind him and Jamie Walker, as well as Scott Sibley and Matt Mara fighting for that 5th spot.
Yeah, I think you're right. The Merchant had to have taken 2 tires there because he was like in and out of his pit box, it seemed, especially compared to everybody else. So the Merchant trying to play possibly a little bit of strategy. I'm interested to see if that's going to hurt him or help him as we get set to restart here. We're going to have like 160 laps to go at Darlington.
Well, like we mentioned, these guys have only been on track for that last run for about 2 or 3 laps. So I'm not surprised that maybe Christian Peterson and Seth the Merchant are both trying to test out the waters on 2 tires, maybe for that late race restart, see how that goes. But it's still early. We're crossing the line right now for lap 23 as we work caution here, the second caution of the night. But like I said, maybe they're just testing the waters on 2 tires, maybe for a late race caution.
Yeah, I also want to mention that coverage of the United Sim Racing B&C Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Whether you spend your time on the sim behind the wheel, on the pit box, or from the spotter stand, Joel Real Timing is the go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. Get yourself a basic download or get the pro version today at joel-real-timing.com. Again, that's Joel. JOEL-real-timing.com.
And I actually use Joe Real Timing myself, and it's a very good product that they put out there. at general timing. I love watching all the intervals that they produce, all the fuel loads and all that. They even give an SOF, so if you're just hopping into like a casual A-fix or something like that, just go ahead and turn it on, see what the SOF is for the field. But surprise move here by Greg Mall. He's going to come down pit road one more time. Maybe just not confident in those tires. Maybe didn't want to be up there too early. And so, like I said, still on lap 23. So don't know what's going on there with Greg. We'll have to find out later. Maybe something wrong with his. Maybe he had to do something. I don't know. But we're going to get doubled up for this restart right here. Next time by. Oh, actually, sorry, this time by.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it, but look who's in second. One of the guys I wanted to keep an eye on tonight, Christian Peterson. I don't think he's going to go down easy tonight, and he's already moved up inside the top 5, whether it's through strategy or through pure speed. It's going to be interesting to keep an eye on Peterson as we get set to restart with 160 laps left. Seth the Merchant, Christian Peterson, that's row number 1. Tommy Ryan and Jamie Walker make up row 2. Scott Simley is going to restart 5th, and Matt Mara 6th. Restart 7th, James Nunn. 8th, Justin Michael. And then row 5 is made up of Randy Tesser and Shane Holler.
Yeah, this top 10's really been, for the front part, it's been pretty much the same, but in the back part, it's changed a little bit. As we've seen, James Nunn has slid up to the 7th spot as we're going to come through turns 3 and 4 for this restart. The two teammates at the front, Seth the Merchant and Chris Peterson, are going to lead them off into turn 1 for this restart. As they get a great jump, as they go really early compared to Phil, got the rest of the field sleeping as they're going to go into turn 1. Tommy Ryan and Jamie Walker will be side by side as Christian Peterson is going to follow in behind his teammate.
Yeah, I think that was an orchestrated restart, like you said there, because they went early, but they also went simultaneously, and the rest of the field was pretty much left in the dust. And then you saw Peterson give way to Seth the Merchant going into one side. I wouldn't be shocked to see if there was a deal made there on that restart. Further back in the pack, though, you see Matt Mara looks like he's under attack from Justin Michael, and then now James Nunn in that number 75 truck making a pass on the low side of turn number 4. And it looks like Nunn's actually going to take over that position, and then right in front of them, Justin Michael hops up into 6 as Matt Mara comes back onto the rear bumper of James Nunn, and they are heading down into turn 2 onto the backstretch.
Yeah, that was not a very good restart for Matt Mara. I watched going through turn 1 and 2. He got checked up as he almost hit the outside wall on the exit of 2 on the restart. He lost the 2 spots to Scott Simley and Justin Michael, and as we saw on the broadcast, we saw Matt Mara go past him going through 3 and 4. So not a great restart for Matt Mara, as he's going to gather up in the 8th spot. Hopefully see him back up at the front.
And then you see here Peterson now from 2nd. He's fallen back to 4th. I can't remember, or even if we found out if he took any tires on that last pit stop. So we might just be seeing the effect of that, because Tommy Ryan and Jamie Walker blew by him. Also, I think Peterson was kind of waving the white flag, just letting them go by him on the high side. But they moved back into the top 3 like they were running earlier. And then, yeah, we're getting word that it was 2 tires on Christian Peterson's pit stop there. So we might be seeing the effects of that, and he's falling back to 4th.
And like I mentioned, maybe they're just testing the waters out. As Seth the Merchant is still on 2 tires as well. He's still out front, so he's holding on pretty well those tires. But maybe Christian decided to just let the 2 drivers ahead of him now, Jamie Walker and Tommy Ryan, go past him, as they're looking really aggressive on those 4 tires. So maybe Christian's just trying to get in line, save those tires for right now, as he's only on 2 compared to the rest of the field who's on 4.
Well, we say that, but you got to remember, Seth the Merchant, we're pretty sure, also took a 2-tire pit stop, and he's out front, so it doesn't seem to be affecting that 57 speed as much as it's affecting the 23 with Christian Peterson's speed. So we'll keep an eye on that, and I think the orchestrated restart helped the Merchant. It might have actually hurt Christian Peterson, because that gap made it pretty easy for Tommy Ryan and Jamie Walker to just reel him back in and then get right around them. But up front, Seth the Merchant continues to lead. He's been pretty dominant, showing a lot of muscle so far tonight at Darlington.
Yeah, and he's almost a little bit quicker than Tommy Ryan is, even though he has the tire disadvantage to Tommy Ryan. So I don't know if Tommy Ryan is... Actually, Tommy Ryan had a really good run right there off of turn 2, so he's going to reel Seth in just a little bit. So I think Tommy's going to get to Seth eventually. It's just a matter of when, as Tommy really powers up off of turn 3 and 4. And he got a great run through that end of the speedway. He's going to make up a lot of time there. I believe he gained 2/10 almost on that lap, so he's really reeling in Seth right now.
Yeah, up front, the Merchant now, like you said, under attack from Tommy Ryan, who's almost pulled up onto his back bumper. And I think those 2 tired pit stops for the Seth the Merchant and Christian Peterson teams aren't really working out as much as they probably would have hoped for, because the Merchant kind of off pace compared to Tommy Ryan. Like you said, almost 2/10 faster that time as they crossed the stripe this time. Taking a look at the lap times, it looks like another big difference, except the Merchant just barely quicker than Tommy Ryan in second.
Yeah, and the Merchant's trying to pull back away. It'd be interesting to see if he's actually be able to do that on those 2 tires. But looking back in the field, Scott Sibley actually just lost a spot to Justin Michael last lap. Looks as though Scott just kind of let him by. So Scott's moving backwards a little bit, even though he's up 1 spot from the starting spot of 6th place. But he's got James Nunn on his rear bumper, not too far behind us. James gets really loose coming off turn 4. I mentioned that at the start of the broadcast. That's going to be really key to see in turn 4 how these drivers work the throttle and see if they don't get loose or not on turn 4 and heat those tires up. But as you look at them right now, James Dunn got a really good run going through 1 and 2. He gained a lot of time on Scott. Look to see if he can make that same run go through 3 and 4.
Yeah, and there's also a pretty good gap between, let's say, the top 4, if you want to throw Christian Peterson up in that. From Peterson to Justin Michael, it's almost a second difference. So the top 4 are kind of breaking away and running their own race for right now, that is. But we're going to have to keep an eye on the Merchant, Peterson, and then see what a lot of these guys outside the top 4 bring once they start getting up in the mix, as we're only 33 laps in of our scheduled 184 tonight.
Oh, I just caught this out of the corner of my eye. Scott Formosa just got put in the wall. He's also got Chris Cabot getting the wall off turn 2 as well. The back half of the pack around 15th or so. Formosa got put in the wall in turn 1. I believe that was by the 4 machine of Bob Gillenwater. And I think Chris has gotten the wall off in turn 2 going to that last lap. I think Greg actually kind of spooked him a little bit and put Chris in the wall accidentally. But yeah, big turn of events right here as we're taking a look at the replay real quick. You just see the Ford just slightly put the 80 in the wall. Chris is going to go drive past him, but then he's going to see the 12 come up. Maybe he got a little bit loose and he hits the wall pretty hard and runs it down the backstretch. So a lot of damage for Scott Formosa and Chris Cabot. Be interested to see if they can get back to the front.
Yeah, that was no light hit. That's not a Darlington strike. That's a Darlington like smack right there compared to just tapping the wall. So Cabot's probably going to lose a little bit of speed in that race truck thanks to that hit in the outside wall. So tough break for that number 5 truck. And like we mentioned, one of those drivers right on the bubble. So we're going to have to see where he ends up for the rest of the night and how much speed that truck actually loses.
Yeah, Greg Mull, Bob Gillenwater, all around them with Chris Cabot around that 16th, 17th spot over in the back half of the pack. So their bubble nights are really not going that well. As we look back up front, Christian Peterson and Seth the Merchant are already up in the top 4. So they're having a really good night compared to them. As we look, I believe Michael Priester, actually James Nunn, I believe is coming to pit road right now from the 8th spot. I don't know what happened there, but he's coming to pit road.
So yeah, Nunn coming in to make a pit stop. Took 4 tires under that last caution, so not entirely sure what's going on in that 75 truck. Looks like he's getting service done on that machine. But Seth the Merchant, Tommy Ryan, Jamie Walker continue to be your top 3. Virtually the whole night it feels like they've been up front, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, as that number 75 machine is out of pit road. Regular pit stop once again for James Nunn, so don't really know what's going on with that 75 machine, but he's back out on the racetrack.
I have a slight suspicion that maybe he didn't fuel up those first 2 pit stops and he just ran out of fuel. I don't know if that's the case or not, but an unscheduled pit stop for James Nunn, he's going to come back on the track, one lap down. I don't know what happened there. We'll have to see his progress back up to the field as we document throughout the night. But as you look up front again, Jamie Walker and Tommy Ryan have re-caught Seth the Merchant up front, and it's beginning to be a 3-car battle up in the front.
Yeah, we have another pit stop taking place. The 98 truck of Steve Marion also in from the 24th spot. So he was right behind James Nunn, and now he was on pit road. So not entirely sure what is going on with a lot of these drivers. As you see the 10 of Jeff Ryan, who's also been on and off pit road for most of the night and involved in a couple of cautions.
And he's still on pit road, so we'll again see if he can get back on track and get some spots here. But yeah, on the scheduled pit stops, I see we've only gone from the last caution, we've only got about 20 laps. I don't understand why they're pitting so early. Maybe they're cutting the run up just a little bit. trying to get into the rhythm of pit stops that maybe they want to run by, maybe 20s, 30s, somewhere around there. But I don't know. It's just an interesting play by 75 of James Nutt.
Yeah, and I was thinking maybe their crew chiefs and them decided they wanted to run the race backwards. Not entirely sure on the fuel window for these guys, but maybe they're just going from the end of the race and this is their time to pit if they want to stay on that strategy. But interesting move there, but I don't think it's going to change too much because up front, those front 5 or 6 drivers haven't really varied too much, as I think Justin Michael now has moved inside the top 5. But besides that, it's been pretty much the same story at the front of the field. Seth the Merchant continues to lead.
And Seth once again pulled out that lead. It's every time we seem to talk about it, it's either Seth's pulling it back out or Tommy's closing it back in. It's been a really back and forth battle up front. The three cars up front, Seth the Merchant, Tommy Ryan, and Jamie Walker, have all been up front together, and they've been near each other the entire run right here. I also wanted to mention that Steve Christian Peterson in number 23. Dodge machine is really keeping up still. I'm surprised he's still up in 4th place, just only a second and 2/10 behind Seth the Merchant, so he's really holding on to those 2 tires really well. And also Seth as well holding on to that lead on 2 tires as well.
Yeah, and the 2-tire strategy we thought was going to hurt him, as the Merchant, man, right up next to the outside wall. I mean, that's probably one of the places I've seen a lot of these drivers get is like Seth the Merchant was maybe a couple inches from hitting the outside wall and adding another Darlington stripe here. But yeah, the 2-tire strategy I thought was going to hurt the Merchant and hurt Christian Peterson, but that 57 and that 23 truck, 1st and 4th, and actually got a pretty good gap all the way back to 5th place, Justin Michael. So it's their own story up front, and Justin Michael, interestingly enough, back in 5th, is sitting like in his own little territory as well between 4th and 6th. So pretty much spread out throughout the field, a lot of single file racing. Probably these drivers deciding that this is when they're just going to log the laps and get most of this race through and in the books, and then they'll start racing once we get down towards the end of it. But up front, the Merchant, Tommy Ryan runs 2nd, Jamie Walker 3rd, Christian Peterson 4th, and Justin Michael. That's your top 5 here at Darlington.
Yeah, and also looking back here a little bit further back, right around the 13th or so, Ralph Vandervoort just actually lost a few spots right there to the 91 of John Jenkins and Greg Ball, as that's your closest battle on track right now. John Jenkins is just ahead of Greg Ball. Greg's been really chasing these guys down, even though that he pitted late on that restart and came down with about 1 to go. He's really reeling in these guys in the back half of the pack, so maybe those tires are paying off, or maybe he's just getting a really good run.
Yeah, and we're going to have to keep an eye on this, and as well as a bunch of other battles here. As you see, Craig Mall, the number 12 truck, running just outside the top 10, was inside the top 10 earlier in the race, battling with the 22 of Matt Mara, but it looks like since then he's kind of fell back. Fuel window for this race, looking at about 45 laps or so, as Mall now makes a run in that number 91 of John Jenkins, so he's going to look low as they enter turn 1. Looks like Jenkins just going to kind of give up on that battle and let Maul get the spot so they don't go sliding through turn 1. Instead, they're going to be single file. So now Maul making his way back towards the front in that number 12 car, or number 12 truck rather, and Shane Hodder right in front of him.
Yeah, sorry, I cut this out of the corner of my eye. Jamie Walker is all over the back of the 6 of Tommy Ryan going into turn 1. He even gave him a little shot, pushed him off in the corner. So this is though Jamie's getting into his rhythm now. Maybe Tommy's worn out that right front tire, and they're still once again closing back up on Seth the Merchant in the front. So close little moment right there for Jamie. He almost had a shot at Tommy going through 3 and 4. So I don't know if Jamie's just found a better line. He's really hooking that outside lane and then diamonding off to the bottom. When you diamond it, you really want to get to that high side and get a good guard.
Here comes the run.
And he's going to go into turn 1, and Tommy's going to let him have it going into turn 1. Surprised to move there by Tommy. He's really put up a fight earlier. Surprised to let him go right here.
Well, I think one of the difficulties of being that car in front is that you have to kind of determine the pace you want to set, and then the guy behind can kind of determine his pace based off of that. So I think Walker, like you said, was able to save his tires a little bit better than Tommy Ryan, and now that they're starting to get into the meat and potatoes of this run, Jamie Walker is able to get around number 6 of Tommy Ryan, and now he's going to look to get around the number 57 of Seth the Merchant, so that 88's really picking up speed.
Yeah, Jamie Walker's been really strong here as of late, and he's, once again, your points leader. He's at a 64-point gap over Justin Michael, so he's definitely locked into to the championship, so he really doesn't have to do much. He's really just all for show right now, as he's really on the back bumper set going into turn 3 right here. He's really close up these last steps. I think the tire wear is finally getting to those 2 tires. You're going to get a good run on the bottom of turn 3 and 4. Set's a little loose, but looks as though Set just can barely hang on to the run off of turn 4. I think Jamie's going to really put the pressure on. He's going to caution on Speedway. I think it's the backstretch. Hold on 1 second. Or Justin Kleber on the backstretch.
Rough night for Kleber so far, then, if that is the case. Yeah, that looks like that truck is going to bring out our 3rd caution of the night. Also brought out our 2nd caution of the night, and missed his pit box of the night. Not going well so far for Justin Kleber in the 08. And it looks like he just got up into the outside wall there. Not sure if he just lost it after that. See the 75 of James Nunn approaching the back bumper. And I think Kleber, yeah, it looks like he just got loose. Actually clipped the 75 of Nunn as well. And then that's going to bring out our 3rd caution of the day here on LSRTV. We will be right back after a short break.
I'm driving the number 20 JGR Toyota Xfinity car this weekend. Really great opportunity here at New Hampshire at my home track. Over the past 2 weeks, I've been on iRacing, practicing a little bit here and there with the modified and the NASCAR Xfinity car, so it's been a lot of fun. It's been a great tool for me to kind of get used to that stock car body again and be prepared for the race today. Well, yeah, it's a mile long, so the draft kind of plays into effect here with the modifieds. Punches a big hole in the air, and we run restrictor plates. So it makes a big difference. Just really fast, and it's our Daytona. So that's what's great about it, and we have a fast car for tomorrow. I think the biggest thing is they're heavier cars. The tire's a lot different. And the way you go about setting them up is a lot different. They use all 4 tires more than a modified, where we typically drive off the right rear, you know, so. Well, actually, it's funny. I raced NASCAR race in 2003 before iRacing came about. And then when iRacing came about, my friend Kevin Iannarelli, who works at iRacing, kind of told me, hey, man, you need to switch over to this. And when I did, I was like, oh, my God, this is like real life. So I started using it as a tool of mine to really prepare for modified races, whether it was Stafford or Thompson or Loudon, Bristol, and then obviously the Xfinity Series last year, going to road courses, trying to get laps, and use it as a tool that can get me as prepared as I could be without actually doing it. So it's been great.
Back here at Darlington Raceway, where we are getting set for our 4th restart, I think, of the night. Seth the Merchant's pretty much been our leader the entire race so far, and I think he hopes it stays that way. Right outside of him is Tommy Ryan, and we're getting set to go with 130 laps left here.
These drivers just had pit stops. Christian Peterson lost a few spots there on pit road. I believe he knocked down from 4th back to 6th. Scott Stemmer's going to pick up that spot from 5th, and Justin Michael is going to be 4th on the restart right here as they're coming through 3 and 4. A lot of these guys, so we're going to get the restart right here on lap 55. I believe we're going to have around 129 to go as we're going to get the green flag right here. And Seth the Merchant's going to get a great restart going into turn 1.
Yeah, that 57 truck's been able to launch pretty well on the restarts. Looks like nothing changes there. He jumps out to another 6 truck length lead over Tommy Ryan. Interesting point to make. Jamie Walker was running 2nd, finally was able to get around Tommy Ryan, but on that latest pit stop, Tommy Ryan actually came back onto the track right in front of Jamie Walker again, so it looks like the 88's got some more work to do again, as Justin Michael moves up to 4th right in front of Christian Peterson.
Yeah, and Christian Peterson's once again just sitting back there in the 5th spot. Maybe this time he'll once again just sit around and wait for the tires to wear for these front drivers, but he's just sitting comfortably in 5th spot right now. He's right behind Justin Michael. And Jamie Walker is all over the back again of Tom Ryan. I think we've seen this throughout the entire night. Every time we look back up to the front, Jamie's always been over the front, except for that one time he got past him. But he's really hounding Tommy Ryan as he's done on each of these restarts.
Yeah, and as of right now, I don't know if you're someone who's looking to place a bet. I don't know how you bet against Seth the Merchant right now, who's virtually led every lap except for one, and the only reason he didn't lead that one is because I think it was Cleaver actually missed his pit box, came out onto the racetrack, led a lap, and then went ahead and went right back down to pit road. But top 3 hasn't even changed either, besides Christian Peterson making a 2-tire stop, but he fell back into 4th. Now he's in 5th, and looks like Tommy Ryan looking to make a run at Seth the Merchant.
And the 6 machine, the Tommy Ryan, or the Kevin Harvick throwbacks, really trying to make a run at Seth, but it looks as though it hurt him as he really didn't have a great run off turn 4. Jamie had a look going into 1, but thought better of it. And it looks as though Jamie's going to get a pretty decent run. Once again, he's running that middle lane compared to Tommy Ryan running that high side. So maybe the different lines are impacting the tire wear. Jamie's probably going to heat up that right front a little bit more, but Tommy's going to heat up that right rear a little bit more. So both of them are going to have different effects, but we have a slow car up ahead. I believe Jeff Ryan's going to go a lap down once again, so he's now 13 laps down as we cross the finish line right here. So he's getting out of the way, doing the gentleman thing and letting these guys race. But yeah, interesting to see the different lines once again coming back up. I believe Jamie and Seth are running the same line for the most part. Once again, Tommy's just rim riding basically through 1 and 2.
Yeah, and I think one of the worst things to happen to these guys is when they get that run through the middle of the corner and then they make it too wide on exit. The guy in the bottom just loses so much momentum as they head down the front straightaway and back straightaway to where it's almost not worth it to get that run in the middle of the corner. You might as well just kind of hold up and follow in line. But Ryan's gonna have his hands full as he's right behind the Merchant and right in front of Walker, and Walker's not been easy on Ryan so far tonight. I don't think it's gonna change. I think the 88's trying to get up into the 2nd spot, and I don't think he wants to get passed by Justin Michael either back there in 4th. So Peterson and Michael starting to close in though, and we're gonna have a 5-truck race at the front of the field as they cross the stripe with lap number 60 now on the board.
Yeah, blanking covers the top 5, about a second between Seth and CP for the 1 through 5 spots. Not as big of a gap as we've seen earlier from that 4th to 5th spot. Earlier, as we saw, upwards of like 2 to 3 seconds between those spots. So once again, it was the restart, but that gap was pretty big on the start as well. So just to see if that spreads out again. But once again, looking back at the 4th spot, Justin Michael is under pressure from Christian Peterson in the Casey Kane throwback paint scheme in the number 23. He's making a lot of moves and he's putting a lot of pressure on Justin Michael. Maybe does he make a move?
Yeah, we started to see one of the things I was talking about with the run through the middle of the corner. Ryan had a pretty good shot at the Merchant last time through 3 and 4 and decided to hold off on it. Looks like this time he's not going to hold off. It looks like he's making the pass down low. I think it's going to hurt him as they go down the front straightaway. And Ryan almost makes contact with him, but he's going to lose so much momentum like I was talking about. And that gives the advantage to Jamie Walker. He's going to take over 2nd now.
Yeah, close off turn 4. Tommy Ryan was inches away from turning Set the Merchant as they almost connected quarter panels. But yeah, as you mentioned, that bottom of lane gets an awful run once they get pressured on the outside by somebody. And Jamie Walker took advantage of that right on the outside and waited for that to happen. And he easily took that second spot away from him. And now Jamie's looking to pressure Set the Merchant as we're going to go and complete lap 64, work 65. And looks as though the pressure's on.
Yeah, Walker really hasn't had too much of a shot at the Merchant, because when he did get around for second on the latest green flag run, we had a caution flag a couple laps after it. So now it looks like we're going to stay green, and it looks like Walker's going to have a shot at the Merchant. So he gets to try his hand at looking to take over the top spot, but hasn't worked for anyone else tonight. But we're going to have to see what Walker can do as the Merchant continues to lead here at Darlington. He's led 65 of our 66 laps, so a lot of racing left to go. We are not even halfway yet, so we're going to have to see how everything works out as Walker gets a pretty good run and pulls up to the back bumper of the 57 machine as they enter turns 3 and 4. And looks like Walker now adjusting his line, running a little bit higher up onto the track and diamonding off the corner as the Merchant just right up next to the wall for pretty much the entirety of the lap.
Yeah, one thing I think that line is doing for Jamie is once he gets towards that high side, he's able to cut down to that bottom, and that bottom isn't really being run by most of the competitors as Jamie is really closing up to the exit of turn 2. But once he cuts to that bottom side is really, really cool down there compared to the high side where everyone's running for the most part. So when he cuts down there, he can really get that car turned, especially if he gets down to that white line as he just right there through turn 3 and 4. He had a great run going through there, and he's just barely getting towards Seth, and he's slowly making gains on him. So interested to see if that line works out. Maybe he does it through 1 and 2 as he closes up once again through 1 and 2. He almost might get to the quarter panel going down the backstretch.
Yeah, Walker had a good run that time going into 3 and 4 now. It looks like Walker's trying to get everything he's got to take over the top spot and also adjusting his line. So I think that's a key difference that we're going to have to keep an eye on, because if the 88's changing up its line, he's also probably abusing his tires a little bit more than he wants to. But as this run goes on, I'm interested to see whose tires seem to be in better position, also who seems to be just the fastest race car once we're 20-25 laps into the green flag run. Ryan's starting to fall off though in that third spot. He's really fell off from where he was, because he was on the back bumper of Seth the Merchant just like 5 laps ago, and then once he got around the 88, 88 has took over that spot and kind of pulled away from him.
Yeah, I believe it's just Ryan is just trying to cool down his tires right now as they're all single file back up front, just trying to run out these laps. But I want to point out, look back at the back half of the field right now, in the 13th spot. We have a huge battle right here with the 11 machine of Shane Hawthorne, the Bill Elliott throwback, the 91 for John Jenkins, the 54 Tim Matthews, the 12 of Greg Mull. They have been brawling for the last few laps, and they've been trading back and forth for that 11th, 12th, and 13th spot. So they've been really going at it. I don't know if that's going to be good for the tire wear or not, but it sure is fun to watch.
Yeah, and I like that paint scheme on that number 91 truck of John Jenkins, but like you said, these guys have really been getting after one another. You got Shane Hawthorne in that 11 leading the group, Jenkins, Tim Matthews, and then Greg Mull, who's been all over the track. Look at that. He's going to make a move way down low on the back straightaway, and they're actually too wide going into 3 and 4. That hasn't worked way too much tonight. It looks like Matthews, though, still hanging tough on the outside lane, not going to get the run he needs, or is he? Because now he looks like he's pulling back up to the bumper of the 12. Mull's going to complete that pass. Then right in front of them, John Jenkins now making the pass on Shane Hawthorne.
Yeah, Greg went way down to the apron, and now you look back up front right here, the 11 is just really having a struggle. If 91 got to the inside, and Greg's going to give Shane a shot down the backstretch, sending him off into turn 3 and 4. So Shane just got really put in a pinch right there as the 91 of John Jenkins went inside of him going to turn 1. And this is though Greg has to look to the inside of Shane as well. Shane is losing as they adore each other on turn 4. Greg's going to look to the bottom right here. You might get him into 1. I don't know if Shane's going to let him in or not. Greg goes way on the apron. He's going basically on the flat to make that pass. And actually, there is a lot of grip down there if you can make it stick. But Shane Hawthorne is losing a lot of spots as he gets oh so close to having Tim Matthews run him over for that 13th spot.
Yeah, I think that move was as close to a slide drop as you can get here at Darlington, because he went just about as low as you can go and then went way up to the outside wall, almost tapped the outside wall. But he's continuing on now. Actually made it work for him as he moves inside of that number 12 spot. And then right behind them, Holler falls in line in 13th, 14th Tim Matthews, and then 15th Gillenwater in that 4 truck.
Yeah, Gillenwater has creeped up into this battle as they've been fighting. Each of these trucks back here are getting really loose off turn too. Maybe just heat those tires up, and the right rear is getting a little hot, and they're driving off that right rear and getting a little bit loose. As they worry about keeping those tires on it for the rest of this run. But as we look back up front, Jamie Walker is still pressuring Seth the Merchant. He is hounding him just like he did Tommy Ryan earlier in this race. It looks as though maybe he's just trying to make Seth wear his tires. Maybe he sees Seth make a mistake getting that Darlington stripe and the Lady in Black's surface. So it looks as though Jamie's peeking to the bottom right here, going into 1.
Yeah, I think that run came at the wrong time for the 88, because through the corner, he's starting to close in a lot on the leader, and then once they got to the straightaway, the Merchant was able to just use his momentum against them, and it looks like, again, that time Walker peaked a little bit closer to the 57 to Seth the Merchant, so not giving him any breathing room now as they head down into turn 3 and 4. But another thing this has done has brought Tommy Ryan back up into the mix, as well as Christian Peterson now in 4th. These guys have really closed in on our top 2 as they cross the stripe. Lap number 76 goes up on the board, and we still got Jamie Walker and Seth the Merchant battling it out to see who's going to lead the way here at Darlington.
And this top 4 has been very strong tonight. Besides Seth, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th positions have been traded back and forth between Jamie Walker, Christian Peterson, and Tommy Ryan. But they're all having a strong night as they have now a considerable margin back to Justin Michael, because Justin Michael is 2 seconds back of Seth the Merchant and about 1.2 seconds behind Christian Peterson. So it looks as though these 4 have really got this track figured out compared to the rest of the field, as they are pulling away lap by lap on the rest of this field as we work lap 78 going through 1 and 2.
Yeah, not much has changed besides the driver's driving line through the corners, because the top 4, as you mentioned, they have traded around positions, but they haven't traded around names. It's been the same guys up front for most of the races. You see now, looks like Christian Peterson almost decided to make a move on Tommy Ryan for 3rd, then kind of backs off as they exit down into turn 4 onto the front straightaway. So Peterson lost a decent amount of momentum there, but Ryan holding on to that 3rd spot. Going to keep an eye out on that. Up front, though, it's getting tight between Jamie Walker and Seth the Merchant. Once again, down the back straightaway, the Pepsi Chevy has continued to lead here, and it looks pretty good out front, not going to lie to you, but the 88 right on his back bumper.
Yeah, the paint scheme does look really good, as that team's designer, P-Money, has really puts out great paint schemes for Seth's, Christian Peterson, and Kyle Manger. So they are really showing out for their paint schemes tonight for Throwback Night, as Jamie Walker still closes in that Ray Vestas 88 car. That's also a very bright paint scheme. It's very good compared to some of the other paint schemes in the field. It's really different as well. Not seeing anything that bright really in the field, but it's really good paint scheme. But tight racing goes with these great paint schemes and this fantastic track. What else could you ask for?
Yeah, you can't ask for too much. I mean, pretty much they've been single file, but besides that, it's been really exciting, because even though they've been single file, you've had a lot of passes being made, you've had an interesting pitch strategy, we've had our cautions, so it hasn't been green the whole way. We've had people getting into the outside wall, and then I think one of the most interesting points of the race was something we saw a couple laps ago when we were watching those 4 trucks right outside the top 10 really going after one another, and then just really traded positions back and forth. And then another interesting thing I saw was when they all exited turn 2 and all 4 of them went completely sideways and pretty much at the same time. So I thought that was a pretty interesting moment to keep an eye on there, as the Merchant, Jamie Walker, Tommy Ryan, Christian Peterson, and Justin Michael lead the way. That's your top 5 here at Darlington.
And they've had a commanding lead on the rest of the field. The top 4 now distance themselves once again, as we got a 3-second gap between 5th to 1st. I just want to point out Scott Formosa is down on pit road. He just actually left his box. So once again, we're seeing these green flag pit cycles starting to come around now, as maybe these guys are running a little bit low on fuel, maybe trying to get a little advantage in short pit. Some of these guys, when you short pit, you really get a lot of time on those on the tires compared to the rest of the field. Sometimes you can get upwards of 1 to 2 seconds on the people who are stayed out on these older tires. But yeah, maybe it's just, once again, it's one of those strategy plays that Scott has kind of emulated from James Nunn from that first stint.
Yeah, Scott for most of there, you see, made his green flag pit stop now, and he's running 21st. Looks like he's actually a couple of laps down outside of the top 20, but the Merchant has continued to show the way, show a lot of muscle tonight, and we're just going to have to see if anybody has anything for him, as Walker's kind of fallen off. Was on the back bumper, now probably about 5 or 6 car lengths back in that second place position. And then third has been getting a lot more tighter each lap. We've been taking a look at Christian Peterson and Tommy Ryan really going after each other. And looks like Peterson almost on the back bumper as they head across the start-finish line and down into turn 1. We are on lap 84, so almost got 100 laps to go here at Darlington. And haven't seen as many Darlington stripes as I thought we would, but I think that wall's going to get painted as a big wiggle on the exit of turn 2 for Tommy Ryan in that 6 truck. So give the position over to Christian Peterson. Tommy really got loose on the exit of turn 2. We were talking about that earlier. We saw a couple other trucks do it, and now it's affecting our third place guy, Tommy Ryan.
Yeah, I've been noticing that the past few laps that Tommy's really rim riding compared to Christian Peterson. Is riding about a half lane lower, and like we said earlier, once you get up in that high line, if you don't work that throttle really nice, you really wear that right rear and get very loose off the corner, as we just saw happen there. And Christian Peterson is, like you said, is going to take over that third spot. But also, as you mentioned, you were mentioning the Darlington stripes around this track. Very infamous, and people are getting the right sides caught on the wall, getting that Darlington stripe on the side of their truck. It had been a case of either you don't have it or you're just stuck in the wall completely. For our cautions, as we've only had 3 cautions tonight, so it's been either all or nothing tonight for these Darlington stripes.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to a lot of these drivers because practice was looking rough. We saw a lot of guys wiggling and sliding throughout the racetrack as we got a pit stop here. Looks like Jamie Walker in that 88 truck's actually bringing it down onto pit road. I guess we're getting inside of the green flag pit stops window, and the 88's actually bringing it in. Almost had a close call there with the barrels on the entrance of pit road. Also Seth the Merchant, our leader, in as well in that 57 truck.
Yeah, Seth made a late call as soon as he saw Jamie Walker pit. He decided to come down. I don't know if he actually was going to make that or not, because I don't know if that's pit road violation because he missed the first set of orange cones. Be interested to see if he does get black flagged for that or has to hold right there. But yeah, he made a very late call to come down to pit road, and looks as though he's going to get into his box. He actually almost overshot it just a little bit, as we also have the rest of the field start coming down pit road. That same lap we had the 75 James Nunn, the 11 of Shane Hawther, I believe your top 5 Matt Mara, Scott Simley, I believe are coming down pit road, and Justin Michael Atkins Jr. are going to retain the lead from everyone pitting right now, so they're going to stay out and get some track position, hope for a caution.
Well, Jamie Walker just beat Seth the Merchant off of pit road. He's still in his pit box, so not sure what's going on with that 57 truck, but a very, very, very extended pit stop on Seth the Merchant's team, and he's going to lose a lot of track position there in the 57 truck.
Yeah, so it might have actually been that penalty. I don't know. Maybe he was caught speeding. I don't quite sure. I'm pretty sure it was speeding at. Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was speeding at the line. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's what it was. So Jamie Walker will get the lead once we get those green flag cycles rounded out, as we still have Justin Michael out front right now, leading this race. Michael Atkins Jr. in second, Aaron Bennett in third. So basically everyone in the top 5 previously before the green flag cycle has come down. Only a few drivers left the pit, and I believe Christian Peterson is actually to come out ahead of everybody else that pitted. So actually no, sorry, timing and scoring just reset for me. So Jamie Walker is ahead of everyone that just pitted from the top 5.
Well, I think really what Jamie Walker was able to do in that 88 truck by deciding he was going to pit, it kind of put Seth the Merchant in a box, because when you pit a lap later than someone, you lose a lot of track position in just one lap. And I didn't think Seth the Merchant thought he could hold on to the lead unless he pitted when Jamie Walker pitted, but by doing so, he also got the penalty, so he lost even more track position than he would have if he would have just pitted one lap later. So the penalty in a couple of different forms for Seth the Merchant, as Justin Michael in that 87 truck is your leader. Looks like he's actually bringing it down onto pit road this lap. So approaching our midway midway race break as well here on LSRTV.
Yeah, and once again we had to. This pit road is very treacherous for these drivers. We always see people either overblow the entrance or just basically speed. It's really difficult, especially with these trucks, to get them slowed down to try and get down the pit road, as it's very awkward. The line has to come down off the banking and then go down to a very steep left-hand turn, trying to make it into that narrow pit lane.
Looks like Michael Adkins is in, Greg Maul, Justin Michael, who we saw pit on our last lap, he's already down on the pit road. So I think we're wrapping up our green flag pit stops here. Looking at the 66, he's also in. So our leader, when we get back out onto the racetrack, should be Jamie Walker. You see Tommy Ryan there, Christian Peterson. That would be second and third once we cycle through. But waiting to see where Michael Adkins in the 2 truck and the 12 of Greg Maul, who's also on pit road, where they end up when we finish our cycle here.
Man, Atkins just got into his box right there, and I believe Jamie Walker is coming through 3 and 4 right now. It's just on the front stretch right now, actually, so he will easily take that lead back. Rob Vandervorst is actually going to come out. Sorry, he's actually going to be a lap behind Jamie Walker. He's going to come by to lap him right now on the speedway. So, as you said, Jamie Walker will retain the lead once the pit cycles round out. Familiar sight back for second this time instead of third. Jeff Ryan is still being hounded by Christian Peterson for that second spot. And Scott Simley is actually going to end up being fifth once these pit cycles round out.
Yeah, as we cross the halfway point of tonight's race, let's take a look at our iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation. Developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service, iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks all across the world. In the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is a one-stop shop for online racing with officially sanctioned racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, World of Outlaws, and more.
Alright, we're going to take a look at your full field rundown right here as we just, like you said, cross past halfway. Jamie Walker has now got the lead and has a 2-second gap over Tommy Ryan in second position. Christian Peterson is going to be in third. He's hounding down Tommy Ryan now for that second spot. Scott Simley is going to be in fourth right now. He's over 8 seconds behind Christian Peterson. Matt Mara is going to be in fifth. Seth the Merchant is going to be sixth after that pit road penalty. He's getting pressured right now by the 87 of Justin Michael for seventh. Aaron Bennett is going to be eighth. Michael Priester ninth, and Michael Atkins Jr. in 10th.
Yeah, then we get to 11th. That's where you're going to find Greg Maul. 12th, John Jenkins. 13th, Rich Jett. 14th, Shane Hodder in the 11. And then 15th is Bob Gillenwater. 16th is Scott Formosa. 17th, Chris Gibu. 18th is Ralph Vandervorst. 19th, Tim Matthews. And then rounding out your top 20 is James Nunn in the 75 truck.
And everyone from 17th on back is one lap down or more. John Wilco, 21st. Jeff Ryan, 22nd. Justin Kleber had an earlier incident in 23rd. Michael Warren is going to be 24th. Steve Herring, 25th. Randy Tesser, 26th. And Louis Robinette is going to be 27th. Everyone from 22nd on back is multiple laps down and I believe out of the race.
Yeah, interesting there. Randy Tesler we saw in the 69 truck actually out of the race. I can't remember if we saw what happened there, but tough break for him. Up front, though, Jamie Walker, Christian Peterson, now your top two as Peterson's able to get around Tommy Ryan. So Ryan moves back to third. Scott Simley fourth. Matt Mara. 6th, Justin Michael, and then look who's all the way back there in 7th place. It's actually Seth the Merchant, who has been dominant and showed the most muscle tonight, but a costly pit road penalty gives up a lot of track position, so he's going to have to make his way and work his way back to the front, which is going to be no easy task, especially here at the 1.5 mile track that Darlington is, where it takes a lot of muscle, a lot of endurance, especially on a 184-lap race, so we got a lot to go here.
Yeah, and this is, though, I'll be interested to see if Seth the Merchant will be able to make his way back up towards the front. He really had a good time at the start of the event, leading a lot of laps, being out front in the clean air. I'm sure he'll have a fight for Justin Michael and Matt Mara for those 5th and 6th spots here in a little bit. Just be interested to see how he makes his progress.
Yeah, and that's been a look at your iRacing Midway race break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. Thanks to our friends at Red Bull Global Rallycross, you can now visit iRacing.com/membership and use the code PR-GRC for an opportunity to start your career on iRacing with 3 months for only $5. That's promo code PR-GRC for new members only, and 3 months for only $5 is a really good deal.
Yeah, that is a really good deal indeed, considering the regular subscriptions and their prices. But yeah, once again, we're very strung out now with this green flag pit stop. Says we've got Jamie Walker leading, like you said. Then they got the second and third place machines. They're right on top of each other, 4/10 gap, and there's a huge gap behind them of 9+ seconds back to fourth. So this field's very strung out and on a lot of different strategies and pit cycles. So I'm interested to see where the tires fall out the next time we have the green flag pit stops.
Yeah, and 101 laps now on the board here at Darlington. Jamie Walker shows the way. We will be right back here after a short commercial break. You're watching LSRTV.
The best late model stock drivers in the country kick off 2018 racing for $10,000 at Tri-County Motor Speedway when the Cars Tour visits for the Do the Do 150. Bring a Mountain Dew product to save $3 off admission, or Do the Do 4-pack with 4 tickets, 4 dogs, and 4 Dews for only $60. Gates open at 1, racing begins at 3 on Saturday, March 10th. Advance tickets are on sale now. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit carsracingtour.com.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Back here at Darlington Raceway, where we are getting down towards the end of this race. Not quite there yet, but we are working our way through it. 107 laps on the board of our scheduled 184. Jamie Walker in the 88 truck is showing the way after Seth the Merchant with a tough break on pit road, caught speeding, falling all the way back to 6th, but luckily looks like he's starting to make his way back up towards the front, but he's got a big gap if he wants to do so. So we're going to have to keep an eye on Seth the Merchant. Jamie Walker is your leader, though, as we got Christian Peterson, Tommy Ryan, Justin Michael, and Scott Sinley rounding out the rest of your top 5.
Yeah, I also want to point out, I saw our side-by-side coverage during that break. The 54 of Tim Matthews and the 22 of Matt Mara got into a little incident off turn 2. Both of them sustained heavy damage. Tim Matthews had a lot of engine damage, and Matt Mara got put in the wall. So their nights are going from bad to worse, especially with them being on the bubble. I believe Matt's going to gain a lot of points right there off of Tim Matthews having his issues. So not so good for Tim, but decent for Matt, as he's still up in the top 11. So I believe Seth the Merchant's actually down on pit road one more time.
Yeah, that 57 truck hitting pit road, like I was talking about earlier, maybe running the race backwards in terms of pit strategy. So this could be one of his final stops for the day. I think he's actually going to have one more in addition to this. But the 57 truck into that first pit stall, and we're going to have to keep an eye on Seth the Merchant because he is in for one of his final pit stops. And
if he cuts it right here at lap 110 for Seth the Merchant, I think he's trying to do about a 38, 39 lap run between each runs. Maybe that'll get him on a full tank of fuel to the end of the race. So maybe he could do that, like you said, cutting it in half, working the race backwards. Different way of approaching the race. So it should see how that will make up. Plus, maybe he's making up in time doing that short pit once again, trying to get the advantage on the people who are still out in these older tires.
Yeah, I wanted to throw that out there as well, but you kind of touched on it. Maybe he's actually changed to this strategy just based off of the fact that he lost so much track position with the penalty. So he thinks one of the ways he can start making up more time is by short pitting, or working the race backwards and getting on fresh tires and kind of optimizing his lap times. So we're going to have to see how that works out for him now, as you see Tommy Ryan starting to close in on Christian Peterson for second, and that battle's been tightening up. We also saw, I don't know, I'm going to throw this out here real quick. This 57, Seth the Merchant, did get loose a couple of laps earlier. I think he might have even hit the outside wall on the exit of turn 2, which we were able to see on LSRTV, and maybe that could have played into a fact. That could have been a factor as to why he hit pit road when he did. But yeah, Seth the Merchant now on fresh tires, and Jamie Walker continues to lead.
Yeah, we finally got a Darlington stripe out of the dominant cars of the night, as Seth is working his way around the 93 of Rich Jet. But yeah, he does have a little bit of right side damage. I do see that right rear spoiler is pushed up just a slight bit, so I don't think that'll hurt him that bad, but maybe it'll hurt him a little bit down the straights compared to the rest of the field if they have clean cars. So, and he is almost, he's a lap down already, but he is almost 2 laps down, as Seth is just going off in the exit of turn 2, and Jamie Walker is just coming off turn 2 as well. So he's about a straightaway behind, going 2 laps down to Jamie Walker. So it might be a tough spot if a caution were to come out right now.
Yeah, but if you take a look at his lap times compared to the leader, Jamie Walker, Seth the Merchant actually nearly a second and a half quicker than pretty much the leaders. So I think he's trying to make up that time that he lost due to that penalty, as Matt Mara now moves inside the top 10. He's running 10th. Scott Simley moves inside the top 5, but Tommy Ryan looking like he's trying to take over second away from Christian Peterson.
And Christian's actually getting held up a little bit here by the 11 machine of Shane Hawthorne, who's getting put a lap down. He's putting a really big wrench in these two in their battle, but it looks as though they get through him clean. So Christian Peterson is actually going to pull back away from Tommy Ryan after getting a good run off turn 4 from the 11 machine, hindering the 6 machine. But I believe, I just caught this out of the corner of my eye, I believe Aaron Bennett just passed, Scott Simley just passed Aaron Bennett. Oh no, sorry, I had that backwards one more time. Let me try that one more time. Aaron Bennett just passed Scott Simley for the 5th spot. So that's a little bit of a shakeup. Aaron's had a really good race as he's come from 15th up to 5th. So he's been a pretty big mover so far in the race.
Yeah, I wanted to throw that out there. We haven't even talked about Aaron Bennett tonight in that number 3 car, or number 3 truck rather, but now all of a sudden he got around Scott Simley to move Aaron Bennett inside the top 5 for the first time tonight. And you mentioned starting 15th, so it's been a steady climb towards the front, and hopefully for him, he's not done yet, and he's moved inside the top 5 and probably has his eyes set on the leader, Jamie Walker.
Yeah, and I think he isn't done yet, as he's actually closing up to Justin Michael just a little bit. Michael was a little bit quicker that lap, but Aaron still can't put the pressure on. He's only a few tenths of a second, almost up to a second behind Justin Michael. So if he gets a good run and a few laps thrown together right here, he can easily pressure Justin Michael. And I also want to point out there, Christian Peterson and Tommy Ryan are actually closing back down on Jamie Walker. When the pit cycles came out, as we're actually going to see, I think Jamie's going to come to pit road right here. So looks like Jamie's actually going to switch things up in the battle. It's not going to happen between Christian Peterson, as Christian is actually going to follow him back down. Oh, Jamie almost hit the pit road barrier.
So we got the 88 in of Jamie Walker, who was our leader. Third place car, Christian Peterson in. Tommy Ryan still out on the racetrack. That's the 6th truck. But we got a bunch of leaders coming down on the pit road now to make their second to last pit stop of the day.
Yeah, and I think this is easily a scheduled pit stop for them as they're coming down on lap 120. So they're going to cut this run into about 30 lap runs almost. I think it's about 32 or so. So it'd be a pretty good run for them to get to the end. It's a lot shorter than what Seth the Merchant has to do as he's trying to get as much track positioning as he can. But Tommy Ryan is also coming in from the lead, as well as Aaron Bennett is going to follow him down. So I believe Scott Simley is going to grab a lead right here as we're going through the green flag pit cycles.
Actually, I think we got Justin Michael in the 87 truck might be our current leader.
Oh, yes, my bad.
Yeah, right in front of Scott Simley. But do anticipate all these drivers coming down on the pit road here within the next handful of laps. And Greg Mall, another one of those guys who stayed out. See, the 68 now, Scott Simley, he's in. Justin Michael actually going to stay out on track. And Greg Mall is one of those guys staying out on track right behind Michael as well. But wanted to point out, we had a 12-second gap from 4th place to the leader once we started the green flag pit cycles. So I don't know if that's going to stay the same now as Michael Atkins Jr. hits pit road. So once everything cycles through and we get back out on track, I want to keep an eye on the gap between the top 5, because 4th place on back was way far behind the 88 of Jamie Walker.
Yeah, there was a very big considerable gap between the leaders once the pit cycles did round down. But one thing I did want to point out as well, Greg Mall might be trying to do a points play right here as he's still staying down on the track, as he's still in 2nd place behind Justin Michael. But Greg's in 15th in points, so maybe he's just going to wait out here a little bit. Maybe he thinks his tires are good enough to be able to maintain and just stay out there, wait for a caution. Maybe he'll end up being 2nd if a caution does come out.
Yeah, like you said, all they needed really is a caution to drop. As you see now, Craig Mall thought he was going to pit. It looks like he's actually just giving way for the guys on pressure tires to get around him. But Justin Michael, also another one of those guys still out on track in the 87 truck. So we're going to have to see when he decides to bring it down pit road. But yeah, like you said, just one caution away from this race really getting shaken up, as we only got 5 drivers on the lead lap, and the top 3 have yet to make their second to last pit stop of the day. That includes Ralph Vanderhorst in 3rd.
And I just actually caught this out of the corner of my eye. There's a really crucial pass for Tommy Ryan in the 6th machine. He just got past Seth the Merchant on track. So that just shows you how much time Seth the Merchant has made up on Jamie Walker, Tommy Ryan, that bunch up in the top 4 that have been dominant at the start of this race. So Seth really didn't make up a lot of time, but it was just to see how much time the fresh tires are going to be able to put back on Seth as he's losing just about 6 to 7 tenths of a lap compared to the fresh tires.
Yeah, that's what's really going to hurt the 57 of Seth the Merchant, is that these guys, now that they are back on track and he is so close to them, but they have much, much fresher tires, so they're going to be able to just pull back away from him. But he will, like you said, being in front of these guys, the drivers further behind him are going to have to get around him, which is going to cost them time and cost them some health on those tires. So the Merchant kind of finds himself in an okay spot. Obviously, his chances of winning the race, if we go green the rest of the way, have kind of dwindled, but he is making as much as he can of the run he's got and kind of throwing the kitchen sink at the rest of this race. But up front, when everything cycles through, it will be Jamie Walker, your leader, but the 87 and the 12 of Greg Mall have yet to come to pit road.
Oh, the 87 actually, Justin Michael just got in the wall coming off of turn 4, and he rode it down the front stretch for a decent while. And Greg Mall's going to get a lot of time, so that's going to slow Justin down a lot. I'd have to look to see what happened to him off turn 4. I believe he just misjudged the wall and turned into the wall and rode the front stretch wall for a long stripe. So that's going to be a huge Darlington stripe on the side of the 87 machine.
Yeah, that's actually going to hurt Justin Michael a lot more than it typically would, because him being on these old tires and kind of stretching out his run as long as he can, hitting the wall like he did is just going to cost him even more time on top of the time he's already losing being on those old tires and everybody else on fresh tires. So tough break for the 87 truck, Justin Michael, but still on track. I would have thought after he hit the pit road, or after he hit the wall, that he would have hit pit road the same lap to try to lessen the blow, but I guess that's not the case for Justin Michael and his team. He's out on track still, so is Greg Mall, and Jamie Walker closing in at a very, very dramatic rate, almost 2.5 seconds quicker than these guys on these older tires. each lap.
Yeah, the last time Justin Michael pitted was lap 92, 93, so he's really stretching this fuel out. He's almost about to eclipse the 40 lap mark on this set of tires and fuel. So maybe he's just knows he doesn't have the speed, to hoping for a caution to stay out. Maybe get the leaders a lap down in the back, but again, like you said, he's losing a lot of time, as he's one of the last two to stay out. Justin Michael and Greg Mall first and second, as Van der Voort did pit 2 or 3 laps ago.
Mall is in that number 12 truck now from second place, so he's finally bringing it down on the pit road, anticipating a 4-tire stop and 2 cans of Sunoco fuel for that number 12 truck. However, Michael's still out on the racetrack, and looks like he's actually bringing it down on the pit road this lap as well.
Yeah, this is how these guys have stretched it just as far as they can, as Jamie Walker and Christian Peterson coming off turn 2 will retain the lead.
Mall missed his pit box. Mall had to back up, throw it back into first gear, move it to the right, move it to the left. Mall was all sorts of messed up getting into his pit box that time around, so that's going to cost him some crucial seconds on pit road. Now Michael's in the 87 truck, so everything's starting to cycle back through, and Jamie Walker and Christian Peterson take over the top 2 spots again.
Yeah, mistakes are killers here at Darlington, especially during green flag pit stops. You already go a lap down just going down the pit roads, and you go about an extra half lap down for the pit stop. And especially with iRacing's new animated pit crews and pit stalls, they've shortened up the box a little bit, so it's crucial that you get perfect in your box. Otherwise, you have to back up and readjust a few times and lose precious seconds trying to get in the pit box.
And now that we have finished our green flag pit cycle, I want to throw out there that coverage of the United Sim Racing B&C Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series is brought to you by B&C Lawn and Landscaping. Our mission is to deliver premium landscapes to commercial and residential properties. We are located in southern Delaware, providing services to the Sussex County region. If you have any landscaping needs, call us today at 302-381-6073. Again, that is 302-381-6073, and that is B&C Lawn and Landscaping, who is also the title sponsor of this series that you're watching live right now from Darlington.
Yeah, they're very great sponsors, as they've been able to sponsor this series. I believe this is their first year doing this series as a title sponsor, so shout out to them. Hopefully they get a lot of new customers and such. But as we look back up front, Jamie Walker has only got a second or so lead over Christian Peterson, as we're going to come over and complete lap 133 and go at a lap 134. I'm surprised at how much time Christian Peterson has actually been able to make up on Jamie Walker during that pit cycle.
Yeah, if we would have picked drivers before the beginning of the race, I probably would have kept an eye on Peterson and also, obviously, the 57 to Seth the Merchant. But now it looks like it's starting to come to fruition now, as the 23 of Peterson, like you mentioned, really starting to gain on the leader of Jamie Walker from the second spot. And he was started way outside of our typical spot for him, and then all of a sudden he's slowly worked his way up towards the front of the field. So Peterson in that 23 truck is looking to take over the lead here within the next handful of laps, as everything goes right for that team.
And it's amazing to see how many drivers have already been put a lap down so far. Justin Michael just unlapped himself, but so far right now the top 8 are the only ones on the lead lap, with Greg Ball actually coming behind Jamie Walker on fresher tires, so he will try to look to unlap himself in 9th spot. But once again, it's been a dominant performance for those top 4 drivers of Jamie, Seth, Tommy, and Christian. So they're really setting the pace tonight and putting a lot of good drivers a lap down.
Yeah, not to mention, I know we talked about Aaron Bennett a little bit earlier today, but look at John Jenkins right there in the number 91 truck. That throwback paint scheme looks very nice on the racetrack, but he's been running outside the top 10 for pretty much most of the nights. Obviously not the night that John Jenkins was looking forward to, but he has been racing pretty well so far outside the top 10. Is Bob Gillenwater right in front of him. Gillenwater, one of those guys that we're watching right on the playoff bubble. I think he's sitting in 12th place in points, so he's going to have to hold on and hope for a good run if he wants to hang inside of these playoff pictures.
Yeah, like we said earlier, with Tim Matthews going out early, Tim Matthews, I think, is in the 12th, Matt Mara is in 12th spot right now. Tim Matthews in 11th. So with Matt Mara and Gillenwater still being on track, they could easily make up points on Matthews, as Matthews only had a 1 point gap to Matt Mara for that 12th spot in a 30-point gap to Galen Water in 13th. But also behind him in points, Chris Cabot is already out of this race, so it looks like his night got worse, and he parked the car, and he's going to end up being around the 19th, 20th position if no one else passes him. So tough night for him, but for the other bubble drivers of Galen Water and Mara, they look like to take advantage of Tim Matthews' bad night as well.
Yeah, for Gabo, like you mentioned, him being 14th in points and then having the night he had, that's really going to hurt his playoff chances and playoff hopes as they head into the final race next week for the cutoff. So Gabo having a tough night, not going to help him out very much when it comes down to who's going to make the playoffs and who's not. But yeah, correction, like you were saying, Galen Water is actually 13th in points, so he needs as much help as he can get to stay alive and make his playoff dreams come true in that number 4 truck. But up front, Jamie Walker continues to show the weight here at Darlington, and Christian Peterson, Tommy Ryan, Seth the Merchant, and Aaron Bennett round out your top 5.
And they're all very spread out right now. It's the closest the top 5 are is between Jamie Walker and Christian Peterson. That's about 1.5 seconds right now. And then it's a big gap back to Tommy for about 3 seconds. Then an even bigger gap back to Seth the Merchant, 14 seconds behind Jamie Walker. So once again, pit stops have really strung out this field even further than what we've seen before. And it's really showing, as we've seen, very minimal battles except for lap cars. I believe we don't have any lap cars in front of Jamie Walker immediately right now, so he has a lot of clean air to not deal with those. But yeah, it's just been a lot of lap cars compared to just side-by-side battling for position.
Yeah, and we're really getting down to it. 45 laps left here at Darlington, so we're starting to see who our front runners are going to be once the checkered flag flies, and it's pretty much the front runners who were here when the green flag flew to start the race, and that was Jamie Walker, Peterson, Tommy Ryan, and Seth the Merchant. Those front 4 guys have been pretty much in a league of their own, and I think it says a lot when you can be have a pit road penalty like Seth the Merchant had, fall way outside the top 5, then come right back up into 4th place and kind of group yourself together with that bunch of 4 drivers up front. So the Merchant's shown a lot of muscle tonight, and in all honesty, probably the fastest and strongest car in the field, but the way the circumstances and penalties and everything has played out, it's hurt him and threw him 15 seconds now behind our leader, Jamie Walker, up front in the 88.
Yeah, regarding his pit cycle, I'll be looking to see him come down to the next 4 or 5 laps or so, as last time he pitted was around lap 109, 110. So he's looking to cut that last bit in half. I'll be interested to see when he comes down compared to the rest of the field, as times are looking to be evened out right now. I'm looking around Seth compared to Aaron Bennett's times and Tommy Ryan's times. Seth's about a few tenths off right now, but the gap has closed a little bit from when Tommy and Aaron first got on those fresh tires on alternate pit cycle.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with just the talent behind the wheel in that number 57 truck. So Seth the Merchant really showing a lot of strength in the 57 truck in that team, and almost evening out the lap times.
Yeah, and we're very spaced out right now, as we are going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. Don't miss anything. We'll be right back as the action continues here from Darlington Raceway.
Really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, 3 wide action on a turn 2. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Kieran Pittman go to get it.
I think the differences between NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the car. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's, you know, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And, you know, early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. It's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
Back here at Darlington Raceway, where final green flag pit stops have began, we saw the 57 truck of Seth the Merchant. He was our initial guy who started our pit cycle last time. Looks like he brought it down pit road for his final stop of the day, so 57 is good to go for the rest of the race. Now it's time to see when Jamie Walker, Christian Peterson, and Tommy Ryan decide to also come down pit road.
Yeah, last time that group came down pit road was about lap 119 for Jamie, I believe around the same time for Christian. As Christian's actually coming down the pit road right now, he's sliding down the pit road as he's going to work his way down to the pit road speed of 45 miles an hour, and Tommy Ryan is going to follow him as well. So this is though they might take a shortcut on Jamie Walker, so Jamie's going to be looking to pit this time by, otherwise he's going to lose a lot of time to Christian on those fresh tires.
So Peterson and the 6 of Ryan come in, and what this does actually is kind of helps the 57 of Seth the Merchant, because now the tire difference between those guys and Seth the Merchant isn't going to be as drastic as it was that last green flag run. So the Merchant's going to be pretty similar on speed, and then on top of that, he pitted a lap earlier, so he has a full lap to make up time on these guys. So I'm not saying it's going to be anything drastic and he's going to be right up on their back bumper, but it gives them a better shot than what he initially had before these guys came and pitted. So now that Peterson's in and Ryan's in, it looks like they're actually leaving pit road right now. It's going to be interesting to see where those two stack up next to Seth the Merchant.
And I also want to point out this pit road exit is very tricky as well, as these guys are coming off pit road. And also Jamie Walker does come down pit road, but even pit road entrance and pit road exit are very tricky. Entrance, like I mentioned earlier, it's very tough to get it down to the pit lane, and the exit is very difficult to keep it on the bottom. As I think we have a spin actually going off turn 4, going onto pit road. Shane Hawthorne's turned around trying to get back straight. I believe he was trying to go down pit road. I don't know if he got turned or not. We have to look and see. I believe he actually just spun out himself under braking, trying to make it a pit road. So just a self spin right now. He kept it on the bottom of the racetrack. So we are still green as pit cycle still continue.
Wow, that could have really shook up a lot of how this race was playing out, because if a caution would have came out there, luckily it was down on the bottom of the track, so they didn't feel the need to throw the yellow. But if that would have brought out a caution flag, a lot would have been changed up, because I don't think Walker had exited pit road yet, so it kind of would have trapped him on pit road, and also would have trapped a lot of guys a lap down now. As Aaron Bennett in that number 3 truck, he takes over the top spot. He is your current leader because he hasn't made his pit stop yet. Neither has Scott Sibley in the 68, who's running second right behind Aaron Bennett. Walker, Peterson, Ryan, and the Merchant are all back out onto the track. As you see, the 68 now Sibley bringing his truck onto pit road.
And he came in really hot as well. He barely made it on the pit road there. He did a good job getting it loaded up though. But one thing I also noticed is Aaron Bennett and I believe Greg Ball and Justin Michael, that group of drivers, they've kind of set themselves up for, like I said earlier, with them staying out for maybe another caution late, as they could probably go about another 5 laps or so. Actually, as soon as I say that, Aaron Bennett is coming down to pit road, so this is he'll come down and make his stop right now, as well as Justin Michael. So I don't know, maybe Greg Mall is going to stay out longer now compared to the Aaron Bennett and Justin Michael who just stayed out, so maybe he's going to catch a caution, because he only pitted on lap 130, so he might be trying to stretch it a little bit further, maybe catch caution.
Yeah, Bennett came down on the pit road pretty hot. I think I mean, obviously this is going off the eye test. Bennett might have a pit road speeding penalty there because he came in really, really fast on the pit road and then rode it down. Like once he was almost a fifth down on the pit road. So keep an eye out for the 3 truck, see how long his pit stop takes. We still got Greg Mall out on track, the 12. That's the only other driver who hasn't made his final pit stop yet of the day. But besides that, Walker, Peterson, Ryan, and Michael are all good to go. It looks like the 3 actually didn't have a penalty on that pit stop there. So Greg Mall, the 12 truck, only guy we're waiting on to make his final pit stop of the race, and we are inside of 30 laps left.
Yeah, I think Greg's going to stay out there as long as he can, run that thing dry in case caution does come out. But one thing I noticed is we saw that Christian Peterson did pit about 2 laps before Jamie Walker did, but the Christian really didn't gain anything on pit road. I don't know if he just had a slow stop or not compared to Jamie, but Jamie really didn't. Jamie actually made a lot of time up on Christian Peterson. As we just got word that Greg Mall is on pit road, and so he's going to bring that 12 machine down to pit road, but Jamie's going to take over the lead. But yeah, the gap from Christian Peterson to Jamie Walker hasn't really changed all that much. It's still about 1 second and 8/10, so I don't know if Christian's had a slow stop or not.
Yeah, and what I want to see once the leaders all cycle around and we get official intervals, I want to see how far back the Merchant actually is, because before the pit stops, I thought the 57 truck was like 14 seconds behind Walker, and now it says he's 11.5 seconds back, so he gained 3 seconds just by getting the top 3 guys to kind of bite onto his strategy. So now you got Walker, Peterson, and Ryan kind of have to start thinking about the Merchant, but then again, 10 seconds is a pretty big difference for somebody to just make up on pure speed and not really tire difference there. So the top 4 guys all in the same tire strategy for the rest of the race, and it's just going to come down to who wants it more between Walker, Peterson, Ryan, and possibly even Seth the Merchant. But then again, that's a long shot to try to make up 10 seconds in less than 30 laps.
Yeah, I think for Seth to make up that much time, he's definitely going to need a caution. But the way this race has gone so far, I don't think that's very likely. Our last caution came around lap 40 or so. So these guys have been really clean throughout this entire race, and it's been a very, very strong showing for those who have been able to keep it out of the wall, like Jamie Walker, Christian Peterson, Tommy Ryan, all the people who are up in the top 10 or so. So yeah, like I said, Seth's going to need a caution as well as Skip, Simley, Bennett, and Michael.
Well, as I say that, Jamie Walker's latest lap time pretty much put an end to that conversation, because he was about a half second faster than anybody else in the top 10. So the only guy even close to his lap time was Aaron Bennett, and that's just the guy on freshest tires inside the top 10, as you see there on your screen now as they cross the stripe again. Looks like Jamie Walker is still one of the fastest trucks on the racetrack in that 88 compared to the top 4 guys. So pretty impressive run for Jamie Walker, who we knew had the speed, but for the most, for the, what was it, maybe the front 50 laps of the race, he was kind of trapped behind Tommy Ryan there, the 6 truck, and that was 2nd and 3rd. But then he was able to finally get around the 6 truck, and then the Merchant had the pit road penalty, and then all of a sudden we got the 88 up front.
Hey, you mentioned Tommy Ryan being stuck behind, stuck ahead of Jamie Walker for the first 50 laps. He's now actually on the back bumper of Christian Peterson going through onto the back stretch going into turn 3. So it looks as though Tommy's looking to give Christian a run for his money for 2nd spot, as they're really all stuck in lap traffic. I think it's the 54 of Michael Priester is going to be behind him on fresher tires, and the 11 of Shane Hawthorne, we saw spin earlier, is just ahead of them. So if they can negotiate the lap traffic fine, that'll be an interesting battle to watch as they get really close.
Yeah, Peterson does have that gap now. It's starting to come back to him over Tommy Ryan, but like you said, he was on that back bumper, and he's not really letting him get too far away. But Jamie Walker, meanwhile, out front just continues now to stretch out his lead, because these guys were like a couple seconds back. Now they're almost 4 seconds behind that 88 truck, who's setting a really impressive pace in terms of lap times. Continues to be at least 3/10 quicker than the guys behind him each lap. So 88 of Jamie Walker now pretty much setting it on cruise control. He's got a comfortable advantage over Christian Peterson, and Tommy Ryan right there on the back bumper again now as they head down the back straightaway into turn number 3.
And Christian's trying to change his lineup a little bit. He's just trying to enter low, slide up to that middle lane, and then slide back down to the bottom and get a good run off the corner. So maybe he's just trying something different to see if he can pull away from Tommy Ryan. But yeah, as you mentioned, Jamie is still pulling away. That's another 3/10 that lap by as we can work on the lap 165. So that's what 2 laps of fresher tires will do for a car. If you're willing to stay out those extra 2 laps or however many laps you pit after the first initial takers, you will gain a lot of time back on them. But the only harm in doing that is you might lose too much time on the front end, so we have to push your stuff to make up that gap once again.
Yeah, we got 20 laps to go here on LSRTV, and it's actually been a pretty interesting race so far, so it's been a lot of fun up in the booth. I know I've been enjoying it, watching Jamie Walker, Christian Peterson. Really, we feel like we focused on the front 4 guys for most of the race, but when you look at how it's played out, that's where our attention should be. We got the 4 fastest trucks. Most of the drama has been happening inside the front 4. And then with so little cautions, you really just want to pay attention to who's leading the race and who's putting themselves in the best position up front. But as now you're riding on board with Aaron Bennett in the 3 truck, who's been able to lead a couple of laps so far tonight, but obviously just outside the top 5, doesn't look like it's going to be his night to end up in victory lane, but can still get a pretty solid and respectable finish and maybe even contend for the top 5 as he's working on the 68 truck right in front of him of Scott Simley, who's running 5th, and we could have a battle forming up there in just a few laps within 20 laps to go here at Darlington.
Yeah, I was just watching this battle a few laps ago. It looks as though these are the 2 closest battles we have for 2nd and 5th. I think Aaron's got a pretty good truck compared to Scott. I think Aaron's just a little bit cleaner than Scott's truck right now, and I believe he pitted a little bit later than Scott did. So maybe the tire advantage will help Aaron as he's closing up a little bit off turn 4, going down the front stretch to complete lap 167. So that'll be interesting to watch those 2 battles for the rest of this race. I think that Aaron might get the best of Scott in a few laps, but we'll be interested to see if that actually happens.
Yeah, one thing I've really been impressed by this race is just the focus of these drivers, because, you know, iRacing is about as realistic as it can get without you actually strapping into one of these race cars, and 184 laps is a very long race here at Darlington, and to run as many green flag laps as they have consecutively, it really is actually a true testament to how talented these guys are, and also endurance, because, I mean, it's a 1.5 mile racetrack, and these tires fall off drastically, and you're working the wheel each and every lap, you're working the pedals. I mean, it really is no easy task, so it's been impressive to watch how this race has played out now as we are approaching, I think, 15 laps left.
Yeah, this race is winding down, but as you mentioned, it is a very endurance type race, as it's been 184 laps. I don't even think the NASCAR iRacing Series, the big series with the Cup cars, would even do this many laps around the Darlington Speedway. So it shows how much talent these guys have trying to hold on to their machines. And a lot of these trucks up here in the top 5 or so really don't have much damage on their cars. You've seen them hit the wall maybe once or twice, do a little scrape here and there. But for the most part, these trucks look really clean throughout the entire field, and that's a true testament to, like we said, their skill.
Yeah, I would have thought the wall would have been. I would have thought the wall in 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 would have been painted black by the end of this one, but you hardly see anybody really getting up next to the wall, and there's not really a lot of marks on it either. So it's been Scott Simley's kind of night, and sorry, it's been Jamie Walker's kind of night. I mean, Simley's ran well, but it hasn't been near as good as Jamie Walker has been tonight in that 88 truck, and got to give a shout out to a lot of these guys running up front, and that gap has grown so much now to Tommy Ryan. He was literally 2 seconds behind Jamie Walker just a handful of laps ago, and now it's almost 6.5 seconds back to Tommy Ryan, and Christian Peterson another second behind that. So Jamie Walker just laying the laps down, and we are getting down to the end of this.
And those tires are really starting to come into effect compared to Tommy and Christian, as he pulled another 10th or so on Tommy and Christian. It just shows you how dominant Jamie's been. He did really get onto that lead right away, as Christian Peterson and Seth the Merchant kind of held the command for the first half of the race. But then through the pit stops and just consistency, Jamie was able to take that lead, and like you said, now he's got the building gap right now up to 6+ seconds as we're winding down. I believe we're coming to get 11 to go here at the line. But I gotta ask you, Jacob, we've seen a lot of laps right here tonight, but I've got the tough question I gotta ask you: what's your favorite paint scheme so far?
Oof, man, that's a really good question. If I had to answer honestly, just seeing the Pepsi colors, because when I was growing up, I was a big Jeff Gordon fan at times, and I always loved his Pepsi car, and seeing it on the 57 truck, it's pretty similar to like the 05, 06, 07 era of Jeff Gordon's Pepsi paint scheme, so probably going to have to go with the 57 of Seth the Merchant's car and that Pepsi paint scheme, but a couple other ones I like out there, but my favorite at least has to probably be that 57 of Seth the Merchant.
Yeah, I have an eye in the 88's Jamie Walker's. I love the colors on that car, plus the 2 machine of Michael Atkins Jr. That Kodak car really stands out compared to the rest of the field. But yeah, back to the action. Christian Peterson has actually kind of lost Tommy Ryan in the past few laps as they're stuck in lap traffic right now. Tommy's pulled out about a second and a half back to Christian. I don't know if he got in the wall or just had a bad lap or whatnot, but he lost a lot of time to Tommy and Jamie, so it looks as though Tommy's got that second spot locked up for right now.
Yeah, you're starting to see the gaps between each driver form bigger and bigger, but the pace that Jamie Walker is running has been very, very, very impressive, and I like the way Walker's just been able to continue to grow his gap steadily over Tommy Ryan.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if Christian can actually reel him back in. I know these tires are getting pretty worn out on these trucks as we now got a 2-second gap between the 6 of Tommy Ryan and the 23 of Christian Peterson. I don't know if they'll be able to close back down, but overall, once again, we keep harping back to this. This is such a strong run from these top 3, especially because they have been consistent throughout this entire race, being able to maintain their gaps, be able to execute pit stops very well, and be able to stay up front.
Yeah, you got the Merchant. Who was looking like the early on favorite, and since that penalty on pit road really cost him a lot of time, and he's fallen back and hasn't been able to recover. Then again, a caution, man, really would have changed the whole way this race turned out, but just wasn't what the Merchant planned on having, and the rest of the field was able to keep the race green, and look where we are now.
Yeah, the laps are starting to continuing to wind down here as we're coming to cross over for lap 178, working lap 179 for Jamie Walker. I don't know if these tires are going to fall off a little bit more, but I feel like there may be a cliff at some point for these tires, especially for Seth. If Seth is not very careful with his tires, he may actually lose that spot to Aaron Bennett or Scott Simmons, considering they're close together. So if I'm Seth, I'd be watching those tires these last few laps and just trying to nurse it home for that 4th place.
How about this identical lap times last time around, 31.162 for Jamie Walker and Tommy Ryan as they cross the stripe again this time around. Walker only varies 5/1000ths of a second, and looks like Ryan actually drops a 10th. So pretty similar now to the lap times between our top 2 drivers, but for a while there, early on after their latest pit stops, Walker was just running away from these guys and growing the gap more and more each lap, but looks like it's kind of evening out between the top 2, but not throwing Peterson in that mix as well. He's kind of been evening out his lap times as we have 5 laps to go here at Darlington, getting to that point of no return.
Yeah, we're really closing down here, and these laps have flown by. It's only been, I think, it's been a really quick race considering the distance of 184 laps. We're only just under the 2-hour mark right now, and it's been a really, really quick race as we've documented all night. We've only had 3 cautions on the night tonight, and only within the first 50 laps as well. So these guys have really gotten it sorted out and been able to have race clean as we're coming across to finish lap 181 right now. Jamie's just having dominated performance. Tommy Ryan as well. We can't say that enough. These guys have been great all night.
Yeah, they really have been, and my pick early on was Christian Peterson, and watching him come up through the field and winding up right now in 3rd place has been pretty exciting, but not gonna lie, I think a caution really would have changed a lot. But there's no point in dwelling on it because we still had a very, very exciting race out of it. Of course, it's not over yet, but Jamie Walker, Tommy Ryan, Christian Peterson, Seth the Merchant, and then Aaron Bennett rounding out your top 5. All 5 of those guys have led some laps tonight, so the pit strategy is played out to leave a lot of excitement on the field and on the racetrack, and a bunch of different leaders, lead changes. We've seen a lot of different strategies, a lot of different circumstances for a lot of these guys. So as we approach down to the end of this race here at Darlington, Jamie Walker leads the way.
And Jamie does come across the line, get that white flag going off of the turn 1 to dominate performance for them. Also, when you mentioned Aaron Bennett up in 5th place, he actually just got past Scott Sibley a lap ago or so. So it looks as though Aaron finally did come around Scott for that 5th spot. So that's just a really good showing for Aaron, as he really put this last stint together pretty nicely. As we look off into turn 3 and 4, see Jamie Walker coming off turn 4 off the high banks of Darlington Speedway. He's going to come down and get the checker flag for tonight's event.
Jamie Walker takes the victory here at Darlington Raceway. Tommy Ryan finishes 2nd, and then coming off turn 4 right now, you see Christian Peterson 3rd, and Seth DeMerchant looks like he's going to round out your top 4 in that 57 truck. But the victory, nonetheless, goes to Jamie Walker after taking over that lead, leading 74 laps tonight. He takes home the victory here at Darlington.
Yeah, we're going to take a look right here at your full field rundown as Jamie's going to come around to the front stretch to celebrate his win tonight. We're looking at your field. We've already documented enough. Jamie Walker, your winner tonight by a 6.5-second margin over Tommy Ryan. Christian Peterson, 3rd. Seth DeMerchant is going to be 4th. Aaron Bennett, we just documented, he just got past Scott Sibley for that 5th spot, and Scott is going to finish 6th. Justin Michael in 7th. Greg Mall is going to finish 8th. Michael Priester, first car walnut down in 9th. And Rich Jetty in 10th.
Yeah, finishing 11th, that's where you're going to find Matt Mara in the 22. 12th, Ralph Vandervorst. 13th, looks like it was actually going to be Gillenwater once it's all said and done here. 14th, Michael Atkins Jr. 15th was Shane Hodder. 16th was John Wilco. 17th, John Jenkins. 18th, Tim Matthews. 19th, Shane Herring. And then 20th was Chris Gibbo.
Yeah, tough night for Chris Gibbo, especially with his bubble spot looking very dim right now as we go into the final race of the cutoff next week in Indianapolis. But James Nunn's going to be in 21st. Scott Formosa had a tough night, finished 22nd. Jeff Ryan, 23rd. Justin Kleber, 24th. Michael Warren, 25th. Randy Tesser, 26th. And ran out your field tonight in 27, Louis Robinette.
And that is how they finished tonight here at Darlington. Jamie Walker comes home with the victory, and it was a pretty exciting race. I'm excited with what we saw. Well, with Walker taking home the victory, Ryan finishing 2nd, and Peterson running out your podium in 3rd. We'll be right back to finish up all the action and wrap it up here on LSRTV.
The best late model stock drivers in the country kick off 2018 racing for $10,000 at Tri-County Motor Speedway when the Cars Tour visits for the Do the Do 150. Bring a Mountain Dew product to save $3 off admission, or Do the Do 4-pack with 4 tickets, 4 dogs, and 4 dews for only $60. Gates open at 1. Racing begins at 3 on Saturday, March 10th. Advance tickets are on sale now. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit carsracingtour.com.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSRTV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Live Sim Racing LLC and iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations. LSRTV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.
Back here at Darlington, where we wrapped up the night, and we saw Jamie Walker in the number 88 truck come home with the victory. It was a very exciting race. Michael, any final thoughts here on the night?
Yeah, it was a very eventful night with a lot of people being strung out due to pitch strategy and just having a lot of cars be put a lap down. But I believe we have actually caught up with Jamie Walker. I believe you're with him down in Victory Lane there, Jacob.
Yeah, I'm here with Jamie Walker. Jamie, long race here tonight at Darlington. Obviously, you were stuck behind the 6 truck there for the first half. Then you got around him. Then we had a penalty with the 57. You wind up in victory. Kind of walk us through your night.
Oh, man. Darlington, can you believe it? This place will wear you out like you wouldn't believe. No, the initial start, though, like I said, I was just minding my own business, just kind of racing the track, not worrying about what anybody else was doing, just staying behind, who was it, 6 there, and I was able to get by him. Later in the run, I was able to get by him, and the truck was just pretty good after that.
Yeah, and obviously we're here on Throwback night, so we had a lot of interesting paint schemes, a lot of nice-looking paint schemes, too. In fact, Michael actually said your paint scheme was probably his favorite tonight. Any story on why you chose the paint scheme you did?
If I remember right, that's one of the first original trucks that when they started up, that was one of the first original paint schemes from what I remember, so that's what I chose.
Yeah, it definitely looked nice out there. I'm sure you like it a lot better in Victory Lane. Once again, congratulations, and anything else you want to add, the floor is yours.
I just want to say thank you to you guys up here in the booth, my teammates down at USR, everybody Young Guns, and then, of course, the Mountain Dew crew. They run the truck as well, so thanks a lot.
Yeah, man, congratulations. Was an exciting race, and thanks for joining us up in the booth. And I think we also got a chance to talk with Christian Peterson. It looks like we got Peterson here in the 23 truck. Christian, coming home in 3rd place, came kind of from, not entirely the back, but from outside the top 10. Explain kind of your race tonight and how you finished where you did.
Yeah, early I was just kind of pacing myself, just kind of keeping the truck clean, and then we got a few yellows, like somewhat early. I think before lap 50 we had like 2 yellows or something, and one of them was after like 5 or 6 laps, so I decided to take 2 tires, get some track position. That got me up to like the top 5. I think I was sitting 4th after, like 10 laps into that run, and then I think we had a green flag pit stop. That spread the field out a little bit, and then I was just still pacing myself. I think we had a yellow somewhat like halfway between, or something happened. I scraped the wall and I got a little damage, and I was just trying to keep people at bay behind me, from that point on. I was I hit the wall the first time, and I was able to reel Jamie in a little bit after that, and then I hit the wall one more time, and it really screwed it up. And the next green flag pit stop, I came down and he had like 45 seconds, so I didn't fix that, and we just tried to keep it in the top 5 from there.
Yeah, obviously Darlington, not the easiest racetrack on the schedule. Really difficult for a lot of these drivers tonight, and some of them were a lot worse off. Can you explain just kind of the toll that Darlington takes as the driver and all the endurance it takes for 184 laps? Not a short race at all. Just kind of explain the endurance it took and the concentration.
I mean, yeah, especially when you got guys like these who can go laps and laps and laps without spinning out and causing yellows. It really, I think I've talked about it before on LSRTV, but you start to get a mental sweat just because you're trying to focus so hard, and especially here, man, it comes a little faster because you got to run, a foot off the wall to go fast. So, yeah, it's definitely tolling, and I definitely earned my stripes tonight.
Yeah, well, it was an exciting race, and excited to watch you kind of work your way up through the field, and like you mentioned, bouncing off the wall a couple times and just trying to roll with that. So congratulations on a top 5 finish. I know 3rd probably wasn't what you wanted. You probably wanted to take home another victory, but nonetheless, it was a good race tonight.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm definitely just happy to finish on the podium, and congrats to Jamie and Tommy on this 1st and 2nd. Those guys did a really awesome job. I think Jamie kept his truck clean the whole time, so hats off to him. He did awesome. And yeah, that's about it.
Yes, sir. We'll see you next week.
All right.
And that was Christian Peterson, our 3rd place finisher in that number 23 truck, who certainly did not have an easy ride to 3rd place. But looks like we're also going to get a chance to talk to Tommy Ryan, finishing 2nd, that number 6 truck. Tommy, long race tonight here at Atlanta. Wasn't an easy race either. Talk us through your night a little bit.
Man, I love this place. It's challenging, and I love going here in person and racing the track. And man, just listen to Christian's interview there. It is mentally challenging because you got to keep your head in it. And not only you're working around lap traffic and obviously race traffic, you got to keep your head together and, just mind your P's and Q's and take care of your truck. And if you do that, you can come home with a top 5. I got a stripe too. It wasn't as bad as Christian's, obviously. He was hurting pretty bad on speed, it looked like. But I got in the wall one good time in the middle of 1 and 2, but luckily I only had about a second or so in damage. But Jamie, man, he was a machine. He was on it every single lap. I got behind a couple of green flag stops, and man, you lose so much freaking asphalt, man, when they get on pit road before you do. I came back out, man, I was like 5-6 seconds. I was like, well, unless the caution comes out, I'm going to finish probably right here. But man, what a great run. That was so much fun.
Yeah, and we had talked about that up in the booth. We even saw some drastic moves where if somebody, a truck behind someone was pitting, a lot of times you'd see that guy in front just kind of dart to pit road so they wouldn't lose, as you said, that asphalt. But another thing that was interesting about tonight was that we were also having a throwback night. So kind of explain why you chose the paint scheme you did.
I was when Harvick brought that out, I don't know, 2002, 2003. To this date, I think that is the coolest freaking base paint ever. And I always was really partial to it. I love that paint scheme. And found it on Trading Paints, and I was like, yep, that's the one. And obviously Matt Crafton ran that paint scheme. I didn't have the font exactly right on my 6 truck, but it looked really cool. But yeah, I'll be back in the CSA Coastal Safety Auditors colors next week. But yeah, man, it's fun, man, seeing the old stuff go around. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it certainly was cool. It was also a great race tonight, man. Congratulations on your second place finish, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, man, I look forward to it. Aaron puts on a great show over here. Love running USR Friday and Saturday nights. So, man, you like you say, I mean, you go, I don't know how many green flag laps we had, but lap traffic was a little challenging at times, but man, do some 100-something laps in a green here without killing it and bringing out a bunch of yellows. Great group of guys, man. I love racing here.
Yes, sir. Talk to you next week, Tommy. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
And that was Tommy Ryan, your second place finisher tonight here from Darlington. And I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up tonight's coverage. But Michael, real quick, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just overall, it was just an amazing race throughout the entire field. Just as like Tommy said, we had almost a 100-lap run of just non-stop racing, and it really put these drivers to the test. The cream really did rise to the top of and Jamie Walker, Tommy Ryan, Chris Peterson, and DeMerchant, the entire top 5 as well, with Aaron Bennett as well, really put on a good show and really showed what they got for the end of this race.
Yeah, and as we wrap up tonight, I want to remind you guys to keep up with LSRTV on Facebook. You can go ahead and like their page, LSRTV. They are at LSRTV on Twitter, and you can go to livesimracing.com to find out more on all things LSRTV. From all of us up here in the booth, we want to wish you guys a good night, and we will see you next week at Indy.